Like when I was first learning them, it was like, all right, I can do this. You just need somebody to get the plates and make them go from here to here. I can be the master of that. I was really into that, and I can do that. But after a while, it's like, you guys treat me like shit, and I get the plates from here to here every fucking time, and you talk down to me and shit. What's going on?
Jesus,
you're counting my lunches. Like you're looking at what I'm eating. You're like figuring out when I'm going out to smoke. Like all of a sudden you're in my shit. But all you said you wanted from me was the plates to go from here to here, and I'm getting the plates from here to here.
God, that was the most accurate representation of how I feel when I get a job. At first, I'm helpless. I'm a little baby. I'm sucking off the tea to the manager to tell me what I need to do. You know, I don't want to, my wings aren't fully formed yet. And then once I learn what I'm doing, I'm like, y'all could treat me a lot better for this. I deserve a lot more for this.
Wow, this is some bullshit right here. Now that you kicked me out of the nest and I'm flying through the sky and trying to flap my wings here, I don't think you're giving me enough.
I don't like this.
You didn't set me up right.
Can you imagine being that sensitive? Like you.
Well, that's
like
what
that
they're
is the
PC as hell.
ultimate.
Hey, you know what? This is the freest goddamn country, and it's so free that if you don't stand up, you aren't a free person. And goddamn it, boy, if you don't stand up right now, you ain't free. Because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, I have the freedom to make you feel bad for doing the freedom. Just get up and say you love it. Just get up right now, Copernic. God damn it. It's so free that you can't do it. You have to. It's free because there's only one way to be. That's why it's free. So be that. Damn you. They don't have anything to live. I mean, their kids hate them. They don't have, all their money got stolen by banksters and shit. Healthcare's running through the fucking roof.
How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do they do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah, powerful meetings, shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to what you do and what the customer gets? It just seems like you could really chop like 5 or 6 levels off of any job and the company would still run perfectly.
Think about your job. Now imagine your manager isn't there. How much smoother would your day run?
I mean, how many of you work a job where you don't even know who the fucking CEO is of the company? That means they're absolutely useless. They're parasites.
They're on the top, getting most of the money, sending their kids to private school, driving the fanciest cars, and they can't make a sandwich. Every new level of hierarchy is more money coming out of your paycheck. Unions are fucking great because it's not HR.
You need solidarity with the other workers. We need to use that and exercise that. You and your other workers are the most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
For the almighty dollar, everyone's a slave. What's the point of doing shit if you ain't getting paid?
You know, you probably hear people constantly talking about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism! And they say, they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have over your day now?
Most people have to be chained to a desk for 40 hours a week and they're not allowed to leave.
When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit, and you have to wipe the sleep from your eyes and like look around and be like, why does this have to happen this early in the morning? That's a capitalism.
And it controls everything, like your healthcare, your education. It all comes down to making money, but some things just don't make money. Honestly, ask yourself, how afraid are you of getting an injury and how that could possibly fuck up your life?
Yeah. You're being stopped from skateboarding, breakdancing, doing anything fun, because if you get injured, you're fucked forever. You can't go to work.
And so then you have all these people that say, well, we can make a kinder capitalism, a more conscious capitalism. It isn't gonna fucking happen. We need anarchy, we need socialism, we need communism, we need anything but more capitalism.
But wait, Brett. When you go to the grocery store, you have almost unlimited choice. You can buy 100 different types of cereals.
All made from the same stuff with different graphics on the outside.
All corn. It's basically just a bunch of boxes of corn.
That's capitalism.
It actually treats about 1% of the population like humans, and the rest of us like tools for those superhumans. You don't have any money, your bank account's low? I know where the money is. Jeff Bezos has it, the Waltons have it.
And they took it from us, right?
They took it from us.
We're just getting our money back.
Yeah, your work made that money. You deserve that money. That's your money. The 1% has never decided to do the right thing. That's why we have to take power and just spread it out among the 100% of people that exist.
Before we commence expelling this ghost from this location, before we save Jake from the lock, I will light the ceremonial herb that will give us the sight, that will give us the power we need to set Jake free. My Twitter's not working out here. Let's see if you can get a ghost. Go ahead and try.
I summon thee, ghost, into ghostly ghostness. Come the fuck out if you're a real ghost. Now. Demand it. This is how we fucking hunt ghosts. And as we've pointed out, and as we've said, there are no ghosts.
So this is where the ghost lives, from what we know. And he's not home. Let me see, let me try this. Jake, you may overtake my body. I accept you into my heart and soul. Please, if you are here, take control of me. Use me as a vessel.
Gross.
Nothing.
Yeah, no ghosts. So I guess the lesson of Beaver Creek is there's no such thing as ghosts, there's no God, and the Bible is a lie. Off to Helltown to find out what the government's up to in the middle of fucking nowhere, Ohio. Hell yeah, bumping out here. Can I get some of this safety herb in my lung, please? And thank you, are welcome here. Jake, you can't have any because they drug test.
Yeah, if you go to work, man, you're gonna get drug tested.
Jake, you son of a bitch! You get out here! Hey, Jake! Ain't coming. He ain't coming because he's afraid of me, Brian Quinby from Street Fight Radio. Brett, would you like a shot at Jake?
Yeah.
Oh, I just fell in a hole. That was Jake. That was all Jake.
I think
we
Jake
found
do
the
that?
ghost.
Jake won't let you see your mention. He's like, don't look at your phone while you're at work, motherfucker.
Oh my God, have you heard the news? Kids are dying of kratom.
That's not true.
They're injecting it into their veins.
I don't think that's happening.
An ABC Action News exclusive. A mom says a popular herb killed her son.
The most recent death happened in early June. Kratom, also known as metrogenine, was one of 4 drugs blamed for his death.
This was like the devil's drug.
It really is just a green powder that makes people feel better.
Yeah, it's a leaf. It grows from the ground, you smash it up, you make a tea out of it, you throw it down the back of your throat, you eat some capsules, and You feel better, your mind's clear. And most people that use Kratom don't have access to healthcare or prescriptions or any of that regular medicine stuff. They get it from local stores or online.
Let's do an example here. You're a young person. You don't understand how all this works. So let me explain this to you. When you get hurt in your older age, let's say you're 34, you work on a roof, you fall off and you crush your fucking heel, right? It's all shattered. The doctor 10, 15 years ago was like, that's fucked up, that really hurts. You're gonna need some opioids to kill that pain. And then the DEA says, no, you can't have those anymore. These doctors have to tighten up their prescriptions. And now you don't have any, you can't afford them. What do? You can take Kratom. It has the same effects, it's less addictive, and it's more gross. So that even brings down the use. You're not gonna use it as much. Kratom kills the pain in your body. It also cures social anxiety.
The government's solution to stuff like this is always prohibition, which means putting more people in jail.
How big is your appetite for the war on drugs? I'm sure it's small. It's shrinking every single day. Don't let them continue it. Don't let them outlaw more stuff.
Good point.
Thank you. Polite
It's
about
just
it.
not the polite way to have
Yeah.
sex.
That's just
I-
really one way to have sex
gonna-
that's polite, and it's to say, ma'am, or sir, or non-binary person, would you like to enjoy some making love with me? And then if they answer yes, then you mount that person and you move back and forth politely, and then you kind of finish it up and you say, that was great, and then you never mention it again. That's the right way to have sex, okay?
And folks, and that's why we don't do any sort of sex advice or sex stuff on this show, because there's none to be given.
I am wise!
I want you to write the polite sex book, like the proper polite method.
I just said it.
I mean, I tell you what, even the jobs that paid me nothing, like when I was first learning them, it was like, all right, I can do this. You just need somebody to get the plates and make them go from here to here. I can be the master of that. I was really into that, and I can do that. But after a while, it's like, you guys treat me like shit, and I get the plates from here to here every fucking time, and you talk down to me and shit. What's going on?
Jesus,
you're
that-
counting my lunches. Like, you're looking at what I'm eating. You're like figuring out when I'm going out to smoke. Like, all of a sudden, you're in my shit. But all you said you wanted from me was the plates to go from here to here, and I'm getting the plates from here to here.
God, that was the most accurate representation of how I feel when I get a job. At first, I'm helpless. I'm a little baby. I'm sucking off the teat of the manager to tell me what I need to do. You know, I don't want to, my wings aren't fully formed yet. And then once I learn what I'm doing, I'm like, y'all could treat me a lot better for this. I deserve a lot more for this.
Wow, this is some bullshit right here. Now that you kicked me out of the nest and I'm flying through the sky and trying to flap my wings here, I don't think you're giving me enough.
I don't like this
You
at
didn't
all.
set me up right.
Can you imagine being that sensitive? Like you.
Well, that's
like
what
that
they're
is the
PC as hell.
ultimate.
Hey, you know what? This is the freest goddamn country, and it's so free that if you don't stand up, you aren't a free person. And goddamn it, boy, if you don't stand up right now, you ain't free. Because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, I have the freedom to make you feel bad for doing the freedom. Just get up and say you love it. Just get up right now, Copernic. God damn it. It's so free that you can't do it. You have to. It's free because there's only one way to be. That's why it's free. So be that. Damn you. They don't have anything to live. I mean, their kids hate them. They don't have, all their money got stolen by banksters and shit. Healthcare's running through the fucking roof.
How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah. Powerful meetings, shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now.
Everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio, your number one anarcho-comedy radio show on any station across the nation. Thanks for being here. We're back. It's the call-in show. We're taking your calls tonight. The queue is kind of open right now. If you've just tuned in, you can get in there. The number to dial is 614-655-3887. I'm going to try to top up our balance on the program because we're kind of low right now. But thanks for being here. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. We've also auto-hosted on the Means TV Twitch. So if you get that in your feed, that will take care of it. And we're also on their YouTube. So thank you to Means TV for the support and the help. We're excited about their launch that's coming in January. I've been talking to Nick closely. I've got a special episode of The Small Business Tyrants coming out. That's me and Nick talking about trying to get all of our projects off the ground and what that requires. So look for that coming soon to the bonus feed on Patreon. Shocktober is wrapping up soon. The Howard Stern Show comes out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Monday the Howard Stern Show is out, and then next week there will be a special wrap-up with just a murderer's row of guests. Chris James, Connor Golden. We have Chris James talking pranks because he is a prank caller that's been mentioned at the White House.
Okay.
We have Connor Golden talking. I made him listen to all of the 9/11 shows.
Great.
And then we have Big Dave because
Mawa Express.
Any excuse to have Big Dave on the podcast, I will take. He's a wonderful man that is a disgusting man.
One of the local small-time shock jocks in our circle.
He's a monster. And I wanted to have him on. He was a Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony, Bubba the Love Sponge guy. So we'll get to talk about Bubba, Howard, and Opie and Anthony with him. And then me and Felix are going to kind of wrap up our feelings and about shock jocks. But don't worry, there will be a Shocktober 2 sometime. And after Shocktober is Teen Fight Radio.
That's right.
It's me and Brett, and me and Brett are the hosts, but not just me and Brett. Me, Brett, and Gwen are the hosts.
Yeah, triple threat.
Triple threat. This is a 3-person show, and we will be talking to different women like Kath Barbadaro, Rachel Millman,
Shannon
Strucci, Karen Geyer. I think we got Libby Watson, and Kate Raft.
Damn.
Yeah, it's just incredible lineup of guests. We're going to talk about growing up. We're going to talk about, You know, somebody brought up yesterday is Liar Kids. Mm-hmm. Because the Man Cow episode came out and he's a big, huge liar.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get into talking about Liar Kids.
Big lies.
And like getting in their mind, because like Liar Kids were like my favorite. They were sort of like my favorite kind of kid. I hung out with one myself, and he was an enormous liar.
Takes a lot of guts.
It's, you know what? You know what's great about Liar Kids is that like there's no lie too big for them, you know? And
right.
when like most of the time, like it's something, it works good with anarchy. Like it's a good analog to anarchy, right? Like we hung out with this guy named Mark that just fucking, he lied so much. And the lies were so big. And you know what? We never questioned them.
Right.
We just let him go. You're just like, dude.
Oh,
you know
man, that's
what?
wild, really.
Yeah. If this and
Your dad works at Nintendo.
Yeah.
Shit.
The only times we questioned him a couple times, and he got furious about it. But it was like, I mean, I just thought about how, like, you know, it's pretty nice. It was nice as hell. We were all mean kids. We were like a pack of wolves, and like it was very nice that we never were like, I mean, you're not adopted, dude.
Yeah. Well, he was doing y'all a favor, though, because then you could say, oh, I know a guy, and then just repeat whatever he told you.
Yeah. You didn't break into Buster Douglas's car. First of all, why would Buster Douglas keep his belt in his car? And why would he keep $200 in his car? Like, you didn't break into Buster Douglas's car.
So that is a new feature of our Patreon, $5 and up. You got to make sure that you sign up for a tier. I know some of you have just upped your pledge, but you got to sign up for the $5 tier or above, and you'll get those bonus audio, the deep dives, the Teen Fight Radio, the Shocktober. All that stuff is going to still be available if you sign up in November. But get in there now so that it's in your feed. That stuff does cost a lot of extra money to do. I mean, Jake was doing 12 to 15 hours of editing on a lot of that, so you know, it cost us $1,000 to make those shows and editing.
Guys, we were paying good. The people that did the show all got paid too, and that show was a lot of work for me too. Just labor hours wise, it took a lot of time for me to do. And I want to say this: if you're like thinking about signing up because you want to hear it, people love the show. People really enjoy Shocktober, and I had a great time doing it, and me and Felix both want to do another like run sometime, and I can't recommend it enough. It's like I worked very hard on that thing, and I think if you want to sign up and get it, it's worth the $5, I think.
Yeah, you also get access to 24 zines, a bunch of live video, and all kinds of other amazing content over on our Patreon. That's how we keep this thing rocking and rolling, spreading this mess across the U.S., and we appreciate all the support of listeners that have got us here. We really do. It does mean a lot to us. We are coming out to the West Coast in November, about 2 weeks from now. You can come see us. We're going to be in Seattle, Washington for 2 shows. On November 9th, we're going to be at the Beacon Theater. We're going to do an Undercover Boss. We're going to do 2 shows, 7 and 9 o'clock. We're going to watch an episode of Undercover Boss. Brian and I will pause it. We'll talk shit over it. The Minion Death Cult guys will be there too.
Might even be some the Block Party guys might be there too.
Okay.
It's possible.
Okay. Seattle, Washington on the 10th. Is when our big show is happening. Minion Death Cult and Street Fight Radio at the Clock Out Lounge. Last time we packed that place out, so get your tickets now. Cast opening up that Seattle show.
Those motherfuckers, those POD cast guys, they're the real divas. I hate them.
I mean, we had to move a lot around to get them on the show, but I think it's going to be great. We're also going to have the same show happening at Kickstand Comedy. This is a very small show, so you need to get tickets now. We're more than half sold out on this thing. That's also going to be Street Fight Radio, Minion Death Cult, POD cast.
Some version. I think it's going to be some version of like that. I will say that in Portland, they made us shorten the show. So we might have to do just Minion Death Cult, Blocked Party, Street Fight. and then all together. I don't know if the POD cast might not make it on that
Okay,
one.
we'll see.
Or the POD cast will come on and Minion Death Cult will perform with me and Brett. We haven't figured it all out yet. They just shortened the show, so we have to figure out a way to do it in a smaller amount of time than we had planned on originally doing it, like we are in Seattle.
Right. Oakland, California on November 13th. Minion Death Call and Street Fight. Minion Death Call is coming with us the whole time. We are also going to have the Brace and Brian show opening up in Oakland. November 15th, we'll be in Los Angeles again at the Virgil. And then November 18th, we're going to come to San Diego for the very first time at the Che Cafe. You can find all of those tickets by just going to streetfightradio.com. At the very top of the page on the right-hand side, it's just going to say Left Coast November Tour. Click on it, and that will put you all the ticket links in there in one neat list. Also, the Facebook events. Please RSVP and share. Let people know as much as you can. There's so many people that have no idea. So if you know someone's a lapsed Street Fight listener and they might like going to the show, please reach out. We have folks every single time that we come through town say that they had no idea we were there.
Yeah, and LA, we can definitely. I'm pretty. 98.9% Jack Allison will be with us there.
Okay, cool. He performed with us last time.
Else? Yeah.
Barefoot.
He's a wonderful man. So I went to the father-in-law today.
You went to the father-in-law.
It's his birthday.
Oh, you went to father-in-law. Okay.
I went to father-in-law land. Hey, let me say this. He's not allowed to talk politics around me.
Okay.
And
yeah, for new listeners, maybe a few months back, Brian reported on the screaming match. No, he didn't match him. Got screamed at. And so now
I didn't scream at him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I still talked. We talked. I just don't get all
yelly, red-faced.
Yeah, I don't get mad like that because I do it for a living. It's kind of I have conditioned myself to be a normal person.
Right.
When I'm
Keep
having
your
a
composure.
conversation about politics. And he just got so mad. And then the last time I was around, he yelled something about killing Muslims or how he hates Muslims, and we left immediately after.
Right.
And he was told he's not allowed to talk about politics around me.
Like that's politics, but yeah.
I think I'm gonna let him talk I think I'm gonna
really
cancel the.
You want to get yelled at again? You won. You're mad that you won.
I'm watching this guy white knuckle it on the couch, and it makes me feel like God. I feel like a coward here, like a safe space coward.
Right.
I'm not afraid of your politics. I just don't find it particularly pleasant to have the conversation.
Right.
It's not like a thing where I'm like
someone to scream bigotry at you.
Right. It's not a thing where I'm offended. Obviously, I'm not offended. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it doesn't bother me in the way of I'm going to go home and be sad about this. It doesn't affect the end of my day. In the end, I see him as a guy who lives in the middle of fucking nowhere and sits in a room by himself all day and largely doesn't affect anybody else's life except for one time every 4 years when he goes and votes for a fascist. You know what I mean? Other than that, I mean, he's not out bothering people or anything.
He's not actively. He's a keyboard racist.
Right. He doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't do anything. And I disagree with him on everything. When we had a conversation, it was just talking about history with a friend, somebody that listens to the show that's kind of related to me. And I was just talking about how history's. They were talking about how they teach history in public schools. And I kind of said, I think there's value in learning what everybody else's understanding of history is.
Right.
If that makes sense. I see, people ask me a lot about, when the history teacher teaches, currently she's learning about communism and socialism and capitalism. She's learning about those three things. And, it's fairly obvious that when they teach about these things, I mean, I know we have a lot of teachers that listen to this show that probably teach it differently or that, but there's going to be a slant against socialism and communism.
Yeah,
we know that.
It's a brainwashing school.
Right. But that is also how everybody else's opinions about history are shaped through that.
Right.
Unless you go to college, So there is value in understanding at a base level what everybody else understands. And then it's your job as a parent to supplement that. And for me, I feel like my job is, as a parent, is to sort of make her understand, like, because this is what he's mad because he says they added diversity to history,
Okay.
which is ruining history. And for me, it's like they didn't add diversity to history. There was different people experience things in different ways. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's like whatever you think your objective history is a narrative told by somebody who relayed the story of a thing that happened. So the shot heard round the world that started the Revolutionary War looked very different to every single person that was there in the area.
Yeah.
So the story that you learned is the story told from the side that the shot rang out to or whoever.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think that's subjective. I don't think
It's the most useful one for American Empire.
Right, and
the
I
most
think
useful
history,
story for that, for Manifest Destiny and all the bullshit.
right, and I think history is subjective. I don't think it's an objective thing. I think there's like a million ways to look at every event, you know? And I don't even like really hold strong opinions on like, you know, the Constitutional Convention to me just feels like when this is a good example of how, like, he sees the Constitutional Convention as a group of geniuses that got together and figured out the best way to run a government. And I see the Constitutional Convention as a bunch of rich guys that got together and figured out a way to consolidate their power. You know, that is subjective. It's whichever way you look at. Like, I'm right, obviously. You know,
Sure, in this subjective.
in this subjective thing. But hey, you know, he has his way of thinking.
Yeah.
And that's the way he was taught. And I think it's I think hearing him say that they've added diversity to history education and that he's a history buff, I find it odd that he doesn't get that, like, how can you say that you're a history buff if, like, you're not trying to consume the maximum amount of, like, perspectives on a historical event, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it would make you sad.
I know. Oh, yeah, exactly. I also found out he's cutting out memes and putting them in albums.
What?
Yeah, he's printing
Albums?
them. Yeah, like photos.
With, like, the peel-back plastic
Yeah,
thing?
like how your family, like, looks at pictures.
I mean, haven't done that in a long time. I mean, my family cuts on the Apple TV, and we all just throw our fucking pics up there.
Right, me too. I haven't taken, like, a hard copy picture and looked at it in a photo op. But that's...
Even we wanted to do a meme off, we could have, like, do that on a TV.
But just a really good, you know, it's like just a good... that's a history book to him.
That's a history.
He's like, oh, here's one with a minion on it that is yelling at colonized people.
Yeah.
You know? I remember this.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, that was a big day. I mean, that got over 5,000 shares. And a lot of people's Thanksgiving were ruined.
I think it's unfair. Here's what I think. I think it's unfair that he's been muzzled by somebody without me requesting him be muzzled by somebody. Like, it's unfair that it comes on to me. Like, because somebody doesn't want to be because...
Yeah, but you got to respect that person's right. Like, I don't want to hear this shit. Like, I don't care what Brian thinks. I don't want to hear this shit.
Right, she hears it all day, though. All the time.
Yeah.
She married the fucking guy, dude.
So she's like she's like her scapegoat then. She can be like, oh no, you know Brian's here. He's too sensitive. You no more just...
That's exactly what I feel like. That's what I fucking feel like, dude.
Yeah.
And like, imagine this. I want to put all of you listeners out there, and Brett and Jason's in the room. I want to put you in his shoes for just one quick second here. This guy sits and he watches YouTube all day, and he looks at memes, and he scrolls he has Facebook for Dummies book, I saw.
That's great.
He scrolls through his Facebook all day, and he reads what all these sicko libs are out there doing. And then a leftist podcaster comes to his house, and he's not allowed to yell at him.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I'm ripping something away from a person that I have cared about in my life. You know, now I kind of don't love him as much, but it's kind of like I'm just like, I'm your straw man, dude. I'm the guy you're yelling at all day, and then you're finally in front of me, and you're You're like not allowed to
yeah.
do that. And it's not because of anything I said, right? Like if this
That would
was
be
an
perfect.
edict from me, if I said I shan't come over there if he talks politics, then like that would be my fault. But that's not what I said. I just said it's not fun for me. It's not like the same kind of fun for me that it is for him, and that like, you know, I have an outlet and I can talk about politics a lot through the week, and I just, you know, when I'm hanging out on a weekend, I like to, you know, talk about movies or music or books or fucking like anything else in the entire world, you know. But that's what he wants to talk about. And it was a big day for those guys, right? Like, because the ISIS guy got killed. The leader of ISIS, which
I didn't know the CEO of ISIS.
yeah, well, we were talking. I was talking about that with my wife, and it's really funny how like, you know, she listens to Street Fight, and I think it has like sort of made her look at politics differently since we were together, and since the earlier times when we were together, much the same way that Street Fight has made my politics different too. And I told my wife, I was like, you know, your dad was pretty excited about al-Baghdadi getting killed and like Trump announcing it, and she was like, yeah, it's just some. She goes like this too. I swear, she goes, yeah, like the America just builds these guys up and calls them a leader so they have a reason to go kill somebody, and like then it's important they killed the guy that they built up as a hero, you know?
Right.
Or as like the top guy, and that's really all it probably is like they picked a guy. Like, hey, this is the top guy of ISIS, and we got him, you know? So that it was funny to hear her just like the kind of political the way that she thinks about politics now compared to like when we first got together, where she was even sort of like, I don't care. Like she's skeptical. We've made her skeptical of everything. You know?
Yeah.
Me and you are skeptical, like naturally. Like when Trump, like, it was so odd to me that the thing I took from the al-Baghdadi, I'm probably saying it wrong, killing, was that Trump posted last night, I have big news I can't wait to tell you. Like he teased the morning press conference, and to me that was like the interested, like he was doing like a commercial break, like he was teasing, announcing that they killed a guy. To me, I look at that and I'm like, we live in a TV show. We live in not only in a TV show, but we live in a trash TV show. We live in like the Jerry Springer show world. You know what I mean? And it was just, that was the like teasing it is like a really funny, that was just a funny thing to me that he teased the announcement.
Yeah.
He's just a show business guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it just goes to spectacle, and now we're just really I mean, he definitely took to it naturally and has gotten there by doing all of these antics. Like, this is the reason that people will keep watching.
I keep watching Politics.
Yeah.
The TV show called Politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, again, bad guy, but it is odd. I guess like a part of me like identifies in a weird way. I like had another moment this week where I identified with him. He posted, "Dear, I missed the home button." And I was thinking that on the same day that he posted it. Wow. And I was like, I think maybe I'm him. Like, I hope I don't end up turning into him, you know? Because he was like, I think a liberal guy at some point, and then turned into that. And I'm like, I hope I'm not him, you know?
He might be.
I could be. It's possible. I'm muzzling people. They're not allowed to talk about things around me.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's such a cruel society. It's like just everybody is on edge and like with bloodlust. And like, this is what people want, is righteous killings. Like, this is what people want from the government. This is what these folks want from the government, is righteous killings.
Do you think that there's an excitement about this one, really, though? Like, I don't feel...
I haven't... You know what? I got to say, I'm very far behind on this one. You kind of knocked me over with it. I didn't even know it happened. I am usually... the Minion Death Commandos, the Minion Death Cult, like, their group, they do a pretty good, like, daily outline of, like, what the conversation is. But I haven't seen anything about it. I saw way more... what's it called? Osama bin Laden...
That's what I'm saying.
Videos.
Like, this isn't I think like we're at a point where we're in we're still like way over to the right on this, but I do feel like we've come a little bit of a way away from like super Muslim hatred. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I mean,
I still think it's bad.
It's just because the Democrats are in charge that they're supporting them. But as soon as they're in charge again, they'll be back to hating Muslims.
Yeah, they'll be back to killing them.
Right.
Killing tons of them.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, it doesn't feel the same as it did in 2005. You know, like if you're looking at a time like 2004, 2005, 2010.
This is what Katie said. This is because this is a guy, I mean, sure, he was the number one on their list, but like they make the list. And so it's like, I always put the easiest thing to do on the top of my to-do list. You know, that gives you like a bump and like makes you feel good, like you did something, you know?
I know.
I'm reading his comments though, and this is like this is just so bad. It's just all meanness. It's just pure meanness. And that's like what your fucking father-in-law is just so attracted and wrapped up in his like meanness, cruelty, all of the old school shit, you know, of like being in pain or inflicting pain, being either always in pain or be the one inflicting pain. Like that's the two states that you could be in.
It's something we on the Opie and Anthony episode of Shocktober, there was a part where we were talking about how like
Wait, this is a call-in show, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but
sorry,
we're allowed to talk on
I know. I just got I was ready to like talk. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But there is a part. There's a part on that show where we talk about like how they could have had a conversation with each other and become friends again, but instead they decided to like plow forward because like generationally they come from a time where people were like, you're miserable at your job. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's how you live. And I really do think that there is like a generational thing. And it's even people from my generation, like Gen X and stuff, where it's just like, no, the whole thing's supposed to be miserable.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be mean because we're miserable.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I think. That's the case more than anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's like that's what they're so obsessed with, and that's what the people were more into is like this will hurt more feelings.
Yes.
You know, this guy hurts more feelings.
Yeah. I mean, they act like we've become
and
like
people,
soft.
not just feelings.
Yeah. Well, they act like we've all become soft, but it's like I still feel like a good portion of everything is mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that there are. I think that the sensibilities maybe are a little bit softer than they were, I would say, like 10 years ago when things like Family Guy and South Park were like the top things, and like, you know, there was more of a sense of like comedy is cruelty, and like I think things are a little bit different now. Like things have kind of evolved past that. But I still think it's fairly mainstream that the things that people find funny or enjoyable are largely mean or sarcastic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just have to go on Facebook and read memes, dude. Like, the people on there share some of the meanest stuff you can ever think of.
I know. I remember being back in the day making a few mistakes of, like, commenting on the wording that was in someone's meme, and they're like, WTF, what is wrong with you? It was just a joke. And it's like, yeah, but you called like people subhuman dogs or something.
I know.
You had like Willy Wonka calling people, you know, vermin and shit.
Yeah, or the Velociraptor.
Yeah.
Like saying something racist and saying like stereotypes are there for a reason.
Right.
And you're like, dude.
Right.
Come on, man. That's not funny.
Yeah.
That's not even like a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like so much of like mainstream.
I mean, we do meanness too. I mean, it is all wielding meanness, you know. It's just like this powerful source, and like when you lean into it way too much, I mean, it should fuck you up. But like Trump is winning with it,
right? I mean, meanness is. Jack Allison said this recently that like, unfortunately, bullying can be funny. Like that, like it was when we were talking about Howard Stern, we were talking about the fighting that he did on the show, and it's like, look, I don't do it, and I don't like it, and I think it sucks. But unfortunately, it can be funny.
Yeah.
And people will laugh at it. And if we're like taking a serious look at like mainstream culture, they love bullying, man.
Yeah.
They love it. That's just what they do. That's like everything is bullying.
Yeah. They you know what is also it's constant on Minion Death Call is Suck It Up, Buttercup.
Yes.
That gets said about 1 million times a day on Facebook.
Oh, I know.
Someone
see it.
says "Suck it up, Buttercup."
Yeah,
and it's the matter of like, all right, you got targeted for bigotry or hatred or attack, or you were excluded, or someone was awful to you. Now you're just supposed to like become better. You're supposed to turn into a diamond from all that pressure.
Yeah.
You know? It's like if somebody walks up and is like, I'm not really comfortable picking a gender, and then there's like, oh no, we can't let that person be happy, and we can have them have an enjoyable life. It's like it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, make like 10,000 insults, and then be like, I don't hate you. You just gotta suck it up, Buttercup.
Right.
You know?
Right. Just keep making the I identify as a pot roast right now, or whatever the one joke they have,
I identify as a fighter jet is what they're always identifying as.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's a fucked up world, and I can't believe you won and you don't like it.
I mean,
you got him, you muzzled him. But now you feel like he is probably on like Stormfront saying like, the goddamn liberals are winning in my house now.
Yeah. I just feel like I didn't issue the edict. Therefore, I don't like the edict. It's a weird, like, anti-authoritarian thing, maybe streak in me, where it was just like, regardless of what I do as my sort of comedy, I still put a premium on not being able to be offended, weirdly, in my brain. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yes, it's very offensive, and I understand that it offended you, and the person that said it shouldn't have said it. I am not offended, and I for some reason see that. I think I see that as a virtue in my mind.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's right. I'm not like saying that like the way I think is right. I think it's a twisted thing that like just is a holdover from the previous version of myself.
Sure.
That like it's probably something I should like kind of get rid of, but it is just a thing where it's like it
is helpful to engage. Like if someone says like, if someone says inflammatory stuff, you don't want to start screaming at them because it doesn't help. If you can just be like, all right, I mean, you said it's like when it's exactly what I don't care for, like when someone thinks saying slurs is like comedy, because it's like anybody can do that, really. It doesn't take that much guts to say it, and it's cheap, and it doesn't make any sense. Like it's not a joke at all. Like it's not a point to just say like I want to do genocide. It's like that's not really politics though. That's like something that you should be like, we should watch you, like maybe are you going to how violent? Yeah, like,
kind of. I think.
Yeah, that sounds like a threat. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you going to be like a domestic terrorist or something? But I don't know. The whole thing is just a fucking rat's nest. As soon as you get into it, like there's just I don't know.
Well, they're not changing their mind. There's not like a fight I can have. There's not like an argument I can have where they would even concede that I was right.
Sure.
I think I have been in the arguments and I've made what I believe to be good arguments and just been blown off as like that's politically correct bullshit.
When there is people that are willing to hear your stuff and be like, oh, I thought about it again. But somebody like that just is looking, they're looking for just to get that last little bit of anger out of their system, to get like whatever endorphin rush they get from screaming at somebody.
And whatever content they consume already knows my arguments.
Yeah.
And is getting really bad faith versions of them in their head.
Yeah.
So that when I make my argument, they're reading it as the bad faith version that they've heard, and they are spitting their formulated arguments to the bad faith version of my argument. And like, I can't win that way because it's not even like the person isn't like even engaging in what I'm saying. They're engaging in what somebody says that I say.
Right.
Right.
All right, you want to get to these calls?
Yep.
We'll take some. I'd love to hear some nightmarish conservative parent stories. I was recently around some really good parents, and I really that bugs me. it's just so weird when people like I'm gonna have a good relationship with my kid, but when I see people my age that like talk to their parents and have like these just regular relationships, you know, I just think of family as such a dysfunctional thing.
I do too.
You know, so you know, please keep the happy stories off this fucking call-in show. We'll save that for Mother's Day and Father's
I like
Day.
happy stories. You can give me some happy times, but I do love to hear about dysfunction for some reason, because that's what I spend all my life in.
Yeah, as I'm comfortable navigating those waters. Let's see who our first caller is. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? It better not be a skeleton up front. Oh no. Did they get too high and drop the phone? Did the scream monster kill you?
Hello?
I don't even hear I don't hear heavy breathing.
I mean,
is it coming from in the house?
Like I don't hear anything at all.
Yeah, it was working. I mean, we heard the call-in studio. We heard the call-in studio. Sorry, that was my ISIS leader video I was watching in the background. All right, let's see. Sorry, first one's a skeleton. Great spooky start to this Halloween call-in show. Sorry you died waiting to be on the show. We will send flowers to your funeral. Next call-in here. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, Brett. Hey, Brian. It's Haley.
What's up, Haley? How's it going? You're not a skeleton.
I am not a skeleton, no. So you want bad conservative family member stories, correct?
Yeah, spooky shit. Then let's do some real horrific
stuff. Let's do a
Okay.
horror show tonight.
I've got a couple. So one involves my dad, and then the other one involves my grandmother, his mom. But I'll let you be the judge of which one is more horrific. At any rate, you know, my dad, so after I came out, my dad was like, okay, cool. And then I go to his house the same day that I come out. And essentially what ends up happening is him and his wife, my stepmom, and even calling her that makes my skin crawl. They sit me down and then they tell me that, like, I'm, in their words, committing a sin against my body. And this was like in the summertime. So I was sort of like just moved out or about to move out from the dorms, because this was when I was still in college. And so they kicked me out of the house, and I basically had to couch surf the whole time for about a month. And on top of that, like, I had to deal with texts every day from my dad telling me all this stuff about how, like, sorry I should be for doing this to him.
So they kicked you out because you came out and they said that you're doing a sin against your own body?
Yeah, man, that's a holy temple.
Yeah, see, it's wild because his wife, you know, we'll just call her,
Terry?
I'll call her, like, yeah, we'll call her Jerry. She's like this weird, like sort of like pseudo-progressive, like, she watches MSNBC and, like, mainlines Rachel Maddow and, like, runs a Zendo.
Oh God!
Can I ask?
What is going on here?
Can I ask if she, just a question to point out, like, maybe a hypocrisy? Does she, like, drink or smoke or like do any drugs or anything like that?
No, she's like a massive health nut.
Damn, because I was like, that's a sin. Like, so I wish, like, I was trying to figure out if she does any sins to her own body. You know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like you could have been like, I gotcha. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, my dad does. My dad smokes and drinks like crazy. And to be fair to my dad, he's come around since then. But
yeah.
I don't know about her because I don't talk to her anymore.
Yeah, that's the worst. They're all like, they're just so narcissistic in that they don't even see you. They just see you as like a thing they own, you know, or like you're a pet or something, and they have no understanding of you as like a fully realized person. Like I've had situations where, you know, a parent is just so focused on what this means for their life and all the stuff that they do, and it's like, What does that have to do with me? Like, I don't. You're like you live your own life. You can go live your own pious life. You're gonna see me on holidays. What the fuck does it? Why is it a problem?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And it was wild because the whole conversation even happened because that was the same day San Diego Pride. Speaking of San Diego, I heard you guys were going there.
Che Cafe.
I had like these like rainbow beads on, like, because I was in that kind of like really just dumb gay phase, and you know, and that started the conversation. Like, me coming out was fine, I guess, because I hadn't gone like far enough with them, like in terms of like my physical appearance, for them to start worrying about it yet. But I think the rainbow beads made them like, oh shit, like, you're actually not kidding. Like, I was doing some weird ha 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 ha, got you, gender transitions are funny, right? And that's what started the fight. And essentially, so, I ended up, like, the only reason I ended up going back there was because I think there was a conversation with my parents. I don't know the exact story, but, but the like divorce agreement between my mom, who is married to a woman, she's gay, and him, like, basically stipulated that I had to be supported entirely from him,
Right.
through child support and like housing and stuff, until I had finished college, essentially. And if he didn't, he could like either go to prison or like she could just sue him for all his money. And he was like, all right, fine. But his mom, my grandmother, who is still alive, unfortunately.
Do I have a lot of people that I know in that still alive, unfortunately, camp?
She's insane. She's an Italian from the old country, and she just turned 95, and like, it's almost like she forgets that I'm Jewish. Like, on my mom's side, it's almost like she completely forgets that. And on top of that, she's extremely racist. So she's like, I mean, those go hand in hand, but, she hates the Jews. She thinks that the ACLU is a Jewish communist conspiracy, which is like some weird, like, proto-Nazi talking point. But also, I remember I was dating a black girl before I had come out. And I asked my dad, who's like totally fine with that, but I asked my dad, I was like, hey, can I bring my, this girl that I'm talking to, her name was Aaliyah, like, after the singer. And I was like, oh, can I bring Aaliyah with me to the Christmas party? And my dad, like, pulled over because we were driving, and he's like, I need to explain to you, like, I need to talk to you about Grandma. And I was like, oh, God, here we go.
Damn.
And he tells, like, he has to pull over the car, and
Yeah.
like, here we go, you're going to listen.
I can't drive and do this, and I also can't wait until we get home to say this.
Yes.
There is something about like hate that makes people like live longer.
It does.
Feels like where it's like
does.
we're gonna die young.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm gonna die at like 55, but like people that just sit around and are racist all day and drink and like dip and smoke are just gonna live until they're 95.
They're always like 92.
Yeah. But it's wild. It's wild you guys say that, because she's had like 5 heart attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's
that's not gonna
still
stop.
Going.
Yep. It's a different. She doesn't run on blood.
wild.
It's hate too.
It's just that hate
And
pushes your
Oh, yeah.
blood. The hate pushes your heart to beat. It's
Right. She's making her heart beat one day longer so she can hate more.
I haven't got all my hate
Oh,
out
God.
yet.
it's so true though, because like so he starts telling me, he's like, oh yeah, when I was your age, I was like, okay, this is a weird way to start a conversation about my grandmother. But he's like, when I was your age, I was also dating a black girl, and I actually did bring her over, and for a family get together, and the whole time she was over there, she, like, my grandmother followed this poor girl around and like started whispering in her ear the most heinously racist shit
Oh,
you
this
can
is
possibly think of.
this is a
To give her the
horrific
lead.
story. Yeah, you got us. You've on the very first one. I feel like you should have a light, like
Yeah.
a flashlight under your chin.
Oh God! And it was like, and he had no idea. I felt so bad for my dad in this situation because he's like, I had no idea this was going on.
Right.
And she like told him, I guess, when they were going home, that she had like called her like some like crazy like 6 different variations of the N-word, like all this crazy stuff, and like mixed in with some like good old traditional Italian racism, which like is a whole nother level of like fucked up. And it was just like, and so they broke up because she's like, if that's your family, I don't want anyone to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. There's no future
so-
here, really.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm sorry, Dad. Like, I agree with her. Like, I would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And and he's like, no, don't do it because, you know, your grandmother won't be able to handle it. She could barely handle it when her like regular kid did it. Now imagine her grandchild of the same kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn. And then after I came out, you know, like I remember one time I made a really stupid mistake. And I'm not like a feminine person at all, but I had that phase because I felt like I had to. You know, a lot of trans women that are butch go through that phase.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, you know, I had these jeans that like had like some glittery stuff on them. I was that stupid, and I forgot that I was wearing them when we went out to a Christmas party. And the whole time, like I go to the restroom and I notice it, and I'm like freaking the fuck out. And you know, so I was lucky I was wearing the longest shirt that I had, so like covered all the glitter parts. But I made sure to like make sure that shirt never rode up like at all. And the whole time that I'm there at this particular Christmas party, is the whole time she's talking about like trans stuff, because I guess around this time the Pope at the time had like issued this like anti-trans screed or whatever, and she was like going off about it, how right he was and how trans people were satanic and like, you know, the worst perverts and like all this other stuff. And the whole time I'm just sitting there freaking out, like, oh God, her family, I couldn't tell at that point if the family was just placating her or just eating or just like actually believing it. And there's like 2 family members that I know now were buying into what she was saying. The rest of my family, funny enough, doesn't care. But the shitty part is that whenever I go there, I have to go back in the closet, which like I've got a 40D, like that's pretty hard for me to do. You know, like regardless of whatever I do of anything else, like you can't hide my chest, you know? So it's like, I don't know if she notices it or not, but every time I'm there, she like says some like vaguely transphobic stuff. Not outright, but she like does it under her breath. And I'm like, you know, now I have a tattoo of the trans symbol on my wrist. Like if she was just like questioning it, like what's she going to think when she sees that? Because I can't hide that, you know? She's already going to hate me because I'm Jewish. What about this? Like, I think if I go and see her now, I honestly think that the heart attack that she gets from seeing her, like, communist, like, Jewish, you know, transgender granddaughter is going to finally be the one that kills her.
Yeah, I'm just worried it's
like,
probably going to give her another 5 years. I think that seems like enough hate fuel
Like, it's wild.
to keep the old ticker running.
It is. I mean,
gas her up, baby.
I have to say that like it's wild. You don't, to me at least from here, seem like a person that is like I understand that you're like worried about you're worried about the way they would react and that they want you to go back in the closet, but like I feel like you seem like a person who's like very at peace with the fact that there are elements in your family that don't agree with like your transition, and that, you know, you're kind of like, you know, this is bullshit. You know, the person doesn't know what they're talking about. And like, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 25, but you should know better than ever ask a woman how old she is.
Well, I had to
Brian's
ask
very
because
bad. He's not a charmer.
and yeah, right. I've been married for almost 20 years. But anyway, I have to say that like when I was your age, I was still kind of trying to make it work with my family, and I don't think it was until I was like, I don't know, 35 years old before I just said like, you know what, if they don't like what I do, if they don't agree with what I do, then fuck them. You know, I'll see them around the holidays and I'll do what I want to do. And I think there is an impulse.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there is an impulse in people in their 20s to you really do love your grandmother and you want it to work, but you know, it's really refreshing to hear that like you're not like that it's not like I don't know. To me, it sounds like you're at peace with it, and it's not stopping you from doing anything. And I that's really cool to me because I really had. I want to say, like, I had some real hang-ups with, like, my parents where it was sort of like they didn't approve of the things that I had decided I was going to do at that time, where I was like, you know what, I gotta do something that they think is cool. I got the roofing job because I thought they would be like, he's finally doing real work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, I think, you know, so this year when you go, do you think are you gonna go for Thanksgiving and Christmas?
I won't be there for Thanksgiving because I'm all the way on the other side of the country. But for Christmas, it's a possibility that I could go down. But no, you're absolutely right. I think I really don't care what these people think anymore. One of my family members, like, there's just a general misogyny on my dad's side of the family, like in general, right?
In the world,
you know, good old Catholic boy kind of crap. And you know, I have a cousin, you know, and she's the only female cousin that I have out of, like, you know, the four other ones on that side of my family, and like they just constantly. I remember all the time they used to like constantly harass her as a kid, including my grandmother, who like just bought in hard to like the patriarchy. And she's like, oh, I want to teach English abroad. I want to go to school. I want to get like a doctorate degree, right? And she had all these dreams. Every time she would say something, one of her cousins, usually like my cousin Steven, who was an absolute shithead and still is, will like be like, no, you don't. You're an idiot. Why would you like this general, like trying to like domesticate his own fucking cousin?
Yeah.
It was gross and it still happened. But it's like, no, I don't care. I will fight these people. I don't care. Yeah. I really don't. My brother tried to get in a fight for me on my behalf once with my other side of the family, my mom's wife's family, because he threatened, this guy on my mom's side of the family threatened to kill me for being trans.
Wow.
He was drunk. He was drunk as fuck when he did it, but he was still threatening to kill me.
Yeah, you gotta knock
I love my
somebody's
brother,
lights
but
Sometimes.
I can fight for myself.
Sure.
You know, love my brother, but you know, but see, with my dad's side of the family, I don't see them that often anymore. And when I do, it's exactly like you said, Brian. Like, I genuinely like don't care. And I will say, I don't love my grandmother on my dad's side. I really don't. I have a very distant relationship with her.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah,
care.
be honest, be open about it. You know, they're not all angels. They don't all go to heaven.
Not all grandmas and grandpas are angels. Is the best. We need to make a shirt that said not all grandmas and grandpas are angels.
It's okay to hate your grandma.
Yeah, we'll just do a grandmas and grandpas burning in hell shirt.
Okay, yeah, your grandma and grandpa might burn in hell.
Yes, please. I will wear the shit out of that.
Mine
technically, some people's grandparents are going to burn in hell. I don't know if any of mine are going to burn in hell. I don't know if they were all that bad, but like, there's a chance that, like, just in the numbers of people burning in hell, like some of our listeners' grandparents are going to burn in hell.
Yeah, the possibility is out there. A group of monkeys will write Shakespeare eventually, right? Yeah. So some Grammy and Grampies are burning forever.
So I'm a Jew, so I don't necessarily believe in hell.
Oh,
but
sorry.
they do, so fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, but
Yeah, they signed up for the deal.
Yeah,
they're gonna find
they
out.
signed
Like,
up, they get to go to
like
hell.
you weren't supposed to be that judgy. Like that was me. I'm the one that does the judging. Like you took way too much discretionary authority on that.
See that's a good funny way. Like I wish they would. I wish like all these Trump type people and all these people that are like people that are transphobic and homophobic and stuff end up like there really is a heaven, and they get there and they get to like the pearly gates, and St. Peter just looks at him and was like, I'm the one that, like, Jesus is the guy that does the judging. I don't actually judge. You're going to have to go to hell for being too judgy. I'm sorry. And then they have to go to hell. And then, like, somebody like me who, like, his whole life has made fun of Jesus gets to just stroll right in because I'm nice to people.
Because you didn't try to do his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This is the last.
Okay.
This is the last thing I just wanted to say. You talked about comedians earlier on briefly. I just want to point out, isn't it funny how every like white conservative reactionary comedian is like, I'm oppressed. I can't say what I want to say anymore. The PC police are after me. And then you look on Netflix and there's like 10 categories that are just exactly all those people.
I mean,
with the exact same thing, saying the exact same thing for like getting tens of millions of dollars to do it. It's a market now. They don't actually believe that.
Yeah, I think
so.
it's perfect too. I mean, I think it just reveals them to be like throwing a temper tantrum on their own. Like any outside observer
Absolutely.
is just as like, all right, y'all are rolling on the ground and saying that people are saying you can't do what you're doing, and there's been nobody that has stopped you at all. Like unless you are gonna call ICE on people, right? Like Milo Yiannopoulos, he got told to not do his stuff because he was going to send people. He was going to call the ICE on people. But going and just saying your bullshit, misogynist comedy is not going to stop no one's going to go out there and take the time to shut you down,
It's that they don't like the criticism.
They don't like being, they don't want to be criticized. You're right.
I mean,
because it used to be popular.
As a person who does art, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As a person who does like a sort of art, like I will say that I hate negative criticism too.
Of course,
sucks.
I would love to outlaw it. But thanks for calling in, Haley. We have to get on to the next one. We got a full queue.
No worries.
People have their own horrific stories. They just can't wait to unleash on us. I have a spooky.
All right, have a good one. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks for calling. One of our best mods ever and legend of the Street Fighters group,
Aww.
Haley. I thought I dropped you already. Didn't want you to hear that. I don't ever do that to someone's face. I just compliment people behind their back. I think I'm going to close with my horrific. I have a horrific story for the end of this show that I've never told on air before. But I'm going to have to work it out during the break. But
I mean, I've heard a lot of good horrific Brett stories. So
I have the one.
Always exciting.
There's a famous one.
Well, there's a really good one about beer that I tend to find one of my favorite stories of all time. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oktoberfest?
The jury room.
No.
The restaurant.
Oh,
the
no,
jury
that's
room
not
when
mine.
you went to go get Italian food.
More than that.
With your dad.
Yeah.
And so Brett goes to get I got to say it. Brett goes to get Italian food with his dad. And they bring him the beer list. And it's all local Columbus and Ohio beers.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you say?
My dad goes, ugh. You guys, he's like, would anybody like a drink, a beer or anything? He says, ugh, you got anything domestic? And he's like, the guy's like, well, actually, most of the breweries we have are within 20 miles of the restaurant. And he's like, no, like a Budweiser. And he's like, no, we don't have Budweiser. And then my dad is just like slams the fucking menu down and looks away from the guy.
Mad for the rest of the
Mad, just
dinner.
pissed.
Because the beers all come. It's still, even if it's from Ohio, it's a name I don't recognize, so it's foreign beer.
Yeah, that's a foreign beer.
Yeah, foreign to me because I've never seen the name before.
No, I have even one better than that. Let's see who's on the line here next. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? Howdy doody, skeletons on the rise.
It's Halloween, dude.
Or zombies running through.
Hello, is it me?
Yes.
It's you. What's up?
A reanimated corpse.
Hey, this is Evan from Cincinnati.
What's up, Evan? How are you tonight?
Not bad, not bad. So I've got a kind of a corporate horror story to tell.
Okay.
Ooh, spooky.
Okay, I'm scared of those too.
I'm scared
Yeah.
too. I'm shaking in my boots.
I'm nervous about corporations.
So I'm in the software development industry, right? So one of the big things in our industry is we've got to deal with, one of the big things is that a lot of people get classified as contractors who probably shouldn't be.
Okay, I'd love to figure out how I can do that, but go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the big security things that they're rolling out right now is that they're making everybody wear different colored lanyards based on who you are. Like if you're a real employee, like I fortunately am, if you're a contractor, you get a different colored lanyard, and it's a whole thing because
so
like
fucked up to me.
the people who do essentially the same job that I do just get marked differently, like they were the construction contractors that are on site, and it's just
Do they make like
messed up.
and they probably, and I don't know this for sure, but they probably make like $10 an hour less. You know what like contractors, like the thing that bums me out about contractors a lot is number one, you're right, the lanyard thing and the ID badge. They always give you like a generic ID badge thing. And then number two, they always pay you $10 less an hour than than like the salaried employees. I mean, if it's is that like, do they pay them less?
Someone in the chat said it's like the karate belt system.
It is.
Yeah, I don't actually know that we as a company pay them less, but that might be more that we pay the contracting firm the same amount, and then the contracting firm pays them slightly less.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
That's
usually the get
exactly
down.
it. Yeah.
And they'll also like pay you like a lot, but it'll be contract. So it's like you're supposed to set aside 1/3 of what you get to pay in taxes at the end of the year. But who the hell ever does that?
Imagine like, I always think about people with savings accounts, and I'm like, imagine like having the bravery to have a savings account and not get paid on Thursday, and then on Sunday have $140 in the bank.
Well, I mean, you do like get nervous if you have money, like it has to be spent. Like I feel like you're uncomfortable having money, so you figure out a way to spend it as fast as possible.
I love spending. I went shopping. My wife got paid on Thursday, and I went shopping. And
I believe
bought
that.
2 pairs of sweatpants and 3 shirts because I'm going on tour soon, and I need clothes. I have to wear a different shirt on stage every single time, or I feel like a loser.
The taxes I checked into is that we have to buy clothes that you can't be reasonable everyday wear. So I think the more outlandish we get with our outfits, then we can start writing them off. Like if we get like that sequins, like a Jonathan Davis tracksuit made for you, I feel like that's a tax write-off.
If you get that made for me, that'd be the best day. I mean, there is somebody that has offered to do that for me.
Okay, well, yeah, because I need some costume clothes. I need to talk to like I need to talk to someone that can take like an old Louis Vuitton jacket and cut it up into something new.
I need to talk to somebody who can take
Dapper Dan. I'd like to hire Dapper Dan to do our.
I need to talk
so
to
we can write it
somebody
off.
who can take a purple Adidas tracksuit and put purple
mermaid sequins.
Purple sequins.
You need like
all
mermaid
over it.
sequins,
Yeah.
chroma color.
Just looking
multi-chrome.
good. Just looking so good.
Oh my god!
Sorry, we just derailed his call.
Well, yeah, I mean, he got me thinking about like because he got me thinking about contractors. I'm like, can Street Fight start doing contract work for the government and just like do a bad job and make money at it? Like, I'm figuring out our scams.
That's all good.
Are people mean to them?
Yeah.
Like, I know you're not, right? I know you're probably nice to the contractors, but like, is it like when I was a temp and you would sometimes catch the people that actually work for the company being like, fucking temps. I hate these fucking temps.
I mean, so people typically the developers aren't like I am, but like they've got all kinds of weird restrictions, like they can't go to the the department picnic or whatever, and it's just a bunch of arbitrary nonsense. And
Yeah, that's just so mean. That's what's
mean.
it's meanness. Like
That's mean
just
as hell.
that's how you make people feel like the in group. Like everybody on top is like, well, we get to go to King's Dominion. You know, the contractors don't even get that. You know.
Oh, and he's in
Right.
Cincinnati, so it
Oh, you're
probably
in
is
Cincinnati,
Kings Island.
sorry.
He probably does go to Kings Island,
Yep.
and then they can't.
I'm
Oh my God!
You actually do go to Kings Island, and I am not sure if contractors get to go to Kings Island.
These contractors
I'll have
just
to figure that out.
storm the fucking gates with like a bunch of wrenches and just beat the shit out of everybody.
Yep.
Let us know the next
Just
time
tear
the
down all
company picnic is, and me and Brett are putting up a GoFundMe
We're gonna
so
agitate.
the contractors can show up at Kings Island and ruin all the employees' day.
Yeah, we want to buy tickets for all the contractors when that picnic happens.
Give them like $40 for food.
Yes.
And just let them go there and just be like,
Yeah.
just go stand there and fucking stare at them while they're sitting in their little tent eating their cheeseburger.
We'll show up. We'll spend money to get the big prizes, and we're going to hand them out to contractors so that then when they ride the racer, like their partner on the racer is just going to be a giant like stuffed animal instead of a person.
You know, I'm thinking about contractors. Like, something I've noticed recently is that, like, there are so many cars with the Lyft and Uber stickers on them now, where it's like every like fourth car is a Lyft or an Uber. And to me, that is like really depressing.
I mean, people are still talking about it like it's a get down, like it's something to do. Like, you know,
It's not. I did it. Well, I mean, I'm dumb and I don't know how to do things, but you know.
yeah.
Like the
you're
guy-
you're better at spending money than making money.
Great at that, though. I'm so good at it. I got these terry cloth sweatpants that I'm wearing right now.
Sure.
Today I was taking a walk and a teen stopped me and told me he liked my hoodie.
Ooh,
That was
wow.
badass.
I bet
That was
a few
like-
wrinkles probably like tightened up.
Yeah,
I bet
I
you
almost
reversed
stopped
aging
and said,
them.
"Do you want to like be my friend?" But he
Like,
was
you want to go skate, man? You want to go get some slushies and skate?
40-year-old man. A fucking 40-year-old man's walking down the street. And a teenager stops him to tell him they like his shirt.
Yeah.
and he's proud of it.
Yeah.
and I am proud of it.
Oh, for sure.
It's a fucking.
You look younger already. Like,
It's
you
a-
look a lot cooler.
It's a cool shirt.
Yeah, I can see that kid bestowed something upon you. Some youthful energy. You have a
know.
little bit more spry when you came over here.
You know, and they think this shirt's like $800.
I know. They don't know.
That's the thing.
They're
They don't
stupid.
know that this was $135, which is a 100%
Ridiculous
a
amount of
normal
money.
amount of money to spend on a hoodie.
Ridiculous amount of
I
money.
spend $100 on a hoodie every year for
Okay.
the American Giant.
That's true.
$35 more dollars.
Right.
And it's
And you also-
and a teenager stops me and tells me it's cool.
And you're so toxically masculine that you won't wear a coat. So you just wear a hoodie. You're just a hoodie guy.
It's not masculinity.
Yeah,
that
you should have a
doesn't make me wear the coat.
It is.
It's cable guy conditioning.
You run
is
too
what it
hot?
is. Well, what it is when I was a cable guy, because your job involves going in and out of a house, during the winter, it's very hot or it's very cold outside. So, let's put the temperature at 28 degrees. It's 28 degrees outside, 74 degrees in a lot of people's houses. You're in and out. And I always found that like the best way to keep yourself warm is to sort of just like layer over your core, and then like you'll be fine. Your arms, your extremities will get cold, but once you get moving, they'll stay warm. So like I always, even when I worked at the cable company, even when it was 10 degrees, I just wore like 2 layers and a hoodie and then my bibs, and then I put the bibs on, the Carhartt bibs, and that's like how I always
Are you gonna
did
walk
it
in
then.
bibs this winter?
I should get some.
That would be
I love
cool.
those things, man.
Definitely.
I loved bibs. They never buy coveralls. If you're a worker out there, if you're a blue collar worker, maybe this is your first year on the job and you're working outside, don't get coveralls. Get bibs. Okay.
Okay.
This is
Solid
like a
advice.
solid advice for you because
Well-
the coveralls are too hot.
All right. Well,
You can't take them off.
Right. You know, it's important advice. Some people don't know. They really don't.
I know. Never get coveralls. That's just.
And
that's
your Carhartt should only be bought at the grocery store. Otherwise, it's Fugazi.
Also, the black bibs are better looking than the brown. But I did wear the brown too. I wore brown, but most of the time when I could buy my own, because they gave them to you at the cable company, so they gave you brown. They didn't give you a choice. They also gave you shorts, but I never wore the shorts because I don't know why every business, when they give you shorts, gives you shorts.
Okay.
Like those short khaki shorts.
Yeah.
I don't wear shorts that come above the knee.
Okay.
But every job I've ever had where they give you a uniform, they give you shorts, and I'm gonna stand up and show Brett. And they always like come up to like right here.
Yeah, I like that length.
I
That's
don't-
good for me.
it's
That's
like the
that's, I
worst.
call that the action length. That's like when you can really stretch and bend and do something in
That's
a
like
pair
the
of shorts.
length where people can see your dick and balls sometimes.
That's
If you like,
I like that too.
Okay, you're an
We're talking,
exhibitionist.
you know. Yes, that's you do have to put it out there sometimes.
Yeah, I don't want my D&B hanging out just because I'm wearing short shorts. I would never wear short shorts.
It's
Now
also-
it's the gimmick.
You can just hike up the inside of your leg and just pee all over the ground whenever you want.
So gross, dude.
Yeah, it's just effective.
You're just
It's
peeing
it's
out of
fun.
the
It's
bottom
it's
of your
functional. It's not as fashionable, but it is functional.
That's a big dick move to pee out of the bottom of your shorts.
You never yanked it out the
they
bottom
pull
like
the
that?
Shorts down?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big dick move.
That's like
I
when
don't
you're
do
like
that.
running away from the cops and you have to pee or something. You know.
It's a BDM right there.
All
Big
right.
dick move.
Well, thanks for calling. Did you have any? Did I cut you off? Did you have some? Do you have anything else you wanted to get in? We've got a few people in the queue here.
We're sick.
Not really.
We
I
appreciate
guess,
the call.
Like they're kind of forcing this change on me in like 4 days, so I've only got a few days to continue my weak protest of not getting a lanyard yet.
I did.
Any way
I
we
did
can
a
help.
lot-
If you come up with some sort of scheme, we can. We'll see what we can do.
I did a lot of.
Nah, they probably just won't let me in the building anymore after that.
Right.
Right, I did a lot of resistance when I worked that was like just like totally counterproductive to like my job.
Yeah.
Where it was like, this would make my, you know what? This would make my day easier. But you know what? There other people are being oppressed, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Like I was the same way. It's smart. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for having solidarity with your fellow contract workers.
Yes. Peace out.
Ba, 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 la, la, la.
So far, so good.
Golly, the contractor thing drives me crazy, and like I do feel bad when they treat them like, I just feel like there's no real good reason to treat them differently that way. You know what I mean? Like there's no like I don't think there's any really good.
You're thinking that, but you're like prioritizing the wrong stuff. Like, in order to have a cohesive group of people that can work together and cooperate and feel like they can all like succeed together, like that's what you're gunning for. They're looking for like strict meritocracy. They're looking for levels so that they want some people to feel left out. They want some people to be like lesser than. That's important, you know. That's an important part of our whole society. Is that we have
never
lesser
thought
thans.
I never even thought of that. Like I guess like. I mean, I've thought of it. I know that like we have a thing set up where it's like some people have to feel better than other people, but it's depressing.
I know it is. I mean, it's bad behavior, and I mean, if you did point it out, it's like you're literally are you color coding people? Seriously? Like, who's more worthy than somebody else? You know, why can't these people ride the Beast? I mean, for fuck's sakes, they do a lot of work.
Oh man, the fact that it's Kings Island just made me more
I know.
mad, because it's like if they took you to a place like Bob Evans Farm, which is another place that they do a lot
Rio
of work
Grande,
picnics.
Ohio.
Yeah, and it's like I don't give a rat's ass about. Like I never went to Bob Evans Farm because
Kings
like,
Island.
what are we gonna do? Play like cornhole or something? Kings Island is a completely different thing. That's like a good place to be.
Kings Island is an amusement park that is the classic. Like, if your parent worked for a bank, if your parent worked for any of the big buildings downtown, they got to go once a year to do the picnic. And that has been stripped away as more people become contractors. So that they're still getting the Kings Island benefit in 2019 means that's like a robust package, because they cut that shit ages ago for every fucking job.
Yeah,
I
my
had.
wife doesn't get Kings Island.
No, it used to be all the time. They would show you. They'd have a bagged lunch waiting for you with a soft cooler bag with the company's name on the side to take home.
Yeah,
they don't give you shit.
You know, you have a really good point. Like that, the company picnic that like we had growing up, that like my stepmom worked at Nationwide Insurance, and they would fucking have their employee picnics at Kings Island, Cedar Point. Wyandotte Lake was a water park that was here in town, and like my wife works at a major corporation and has for 20 years, and like
it's the same job that was going on back then.
Exactly, pretty much the same
Just
job, and we
bullshit
don't ever
paper
get
pusher.
to go to like a place. like a big cool place for a company picnic. And my job doesn't have company picnics, so
Yeah, we need to do a company picnic.
let's do a fucking company picnic.
That's a
dude.
good idea.
Kings Island.
Okay.
I will be afraid of all the rides while you guys go and ride them.
We're gonna have to. We'll make a list of everybody we paid this year for like the zine or for like a guest appearance, and we'll invite them to there because they'll have to be we have to get a group discount. We're gonna need like a lot of people.
Okay.
The street fight moderators.
Yeah.
That's
Everybody
like a
that
dozen.
works for Street Fight, we're
We
gonna
can get,
have
like-
a company picnic at Kings Island.
Yeah,
Kings
and
Island.
everyone's going to sneak in one contractor.
Yeah. And
One
save your
podcast
money.
contractor.
Yeah, and save your money because we're not going to get you to Kings Island. We'll just buy your ticket to get into Kings Island. Right?
Okay.
We can't afford to fly people.
No,
to
but
Kings
Island. I will set up. We'll coordinate people to get there. And this
Okay, company
real thing that's gonna
picnic
happen.
coming soon.
Up next, we got a V for Vendetta calling. This is an anonymous, so we'll see what V has to say here. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, how you doing? This is Nick.
What's
Hey,
up, Nick?
How's it going? Remember the 5th of November.
I don't know what that means. What's going on tonight, Nick?
Yeah, I don't. I got a bit of a family story, I guess, for you that a lot of people like me to talk about sometimes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's too interesting, but some people find it interesting, I guess.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so, all right, sure. Well, basically, I was adopted, and so were both of my siblings, my sisters, and as well as my brother. Excuse me. I grew up in a military town in a very Catholic family.
This is going to be a horrific story, it seems already. So far, you've set me up. This seems like it's going to be as good as The Witch.
Yeah, man, I'm scared, man. It's going to be a letdown. I don't think it's as cool as the last couple callers.
Gotcha.
To be honest with you. But anyway, my oldest sister, she gets pregnant in high school, and that doesn't happen. That's not allowed.
Yeah,
That's
you
bad.
can't do that.
Right.
No, it's supposed to be abstinence or do it in the butt. Well, that's like
sorry?
definitely- abstinence or do it in the butt is the options from Catholics that I've always
Yeah.
known.
Yeah, amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, my oldest sister and my mother, they move across the state lines while she's pregnant so she can have this fucking baby, because it would just bring such a stain upon the family that a teenage girl
Oh my God.
had sex and yeah.
Yeah, no one can know.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, this little baby's born, and then like 35 years later, they tell the baby, "Oh, by the way, it's you," which is me, because I was adopted into this family too, and my oldest sister, through adoption, is actually my biological mother, and of course, nobody could fucking say a word. Or like our parents would lose their mind because
Dude, you got a horrific story going. That is wild. Are you serious?
I'm glad. And yeah, I'm for real. And they told me like, I mean, obviously I don't remember this, but I guess like when my biological mother would like pick me up from the crib and stuff, our adopted mother would flip the fuck out because she didn't want me like bonding with her.
Oh, I'm losing my mind over here.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. That's pretty much.
That's old school. I mean, that's just how things were handled. Like that is such a weird thing. There's someone in my family that killed somebody in a drunk driving accident, and they were literally just told to like leave town, and so they moved away and just live in California now, and like had to make a new life. And it was just before things were so documented, there was a lot of very fucking hairy situations going on.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up in a military town, and like I don't know how many of these dudes I knew who were like buddies of mine and stuff, who were like, I really don't want to be in the army, but I didn't have a fucking choice. I was either going to go to jail or I had to join the military.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know their backstories, but yeah. And I know that shit doesn't happen anymore. You can't just join the military to get out of going to prison.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
I worked with plenty of those guys.
Yeah, I knew a lot of those guys, and like I did. Like my mom, like moved to Oklahoma after like fucking some stuff up at home, and was just like, I'm out of here, you know. And like I always think about like how like. Does everybody have somebody in their family that had to like cross state lines to get away from something? You know,
it's very it's way more common than you think. You know?
I figure. I mean, that's the whole state of Florida is that pretty much people getting away. Thanks for calling in. That was really good, Brett.
Yeah, that was a fucking spooky tale.
Yeah, it made me.
That was
scared.
a great fucking turn of events there.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah,
we loved it.
Have a great night.
Sorry, I hope
your misfortune. We loved it, but we don't love that. You know,
yeah.
It's a sad.
Like
situation.
I've always said, that tragedy just really just makes me laugh, and you know that is just such a fucking wild thing to grow up and then have somebody lay that on you. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought it was weird. I like really found it weird that like even with my mom was like kind of like she was just gone, and like I went a couple times to visit her, but that was really like the only times I saw her. Like we just it kind of was like a thing where she was just like.
But like imagine, but you're in a family like that's the thing. I guess is what this is the thing about the dysfunctional family is that people will just go along with the narrative. Like it gets too long. It gets to be 10 years in and you're like, oh, nobody told him that like that's actually his mom, you know? And then it gets to be 20 years in and you're like, we definitely can't say it. You know, we should have said something 19 years ago. We should have said something 10 years ago. We can't say anything,
man,
you know? And then you get 30 fucking years into the lie and it's like, you know, you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm feeling guilty as shit about this now, you know?
I have like sort of a theory on that. Like that there are like kind of two types of like human relationships, right? And one of them is there are like two types of ways that people deal with conflict in their life, right? It's like, so there are people, Katie is like this, where it's like when conflict happens, you shut down, you sit down, you cool out in your mind, and then you're done. You know, like there doesn't need to be a conversation. It just has to cool out. And then there are people.
You just hit like a shockwave hits you and then you take it in and then you just keep rolling.
Yeah. And then there are people who have to clear the air. They're like, and I'm one of those. And you're one of those, actually. It's why we work so well together is that like when conflict happens, I feel that the only way to get over that conflict is to have the fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Whether it's an uncomfortable fight, whether it's a misunderstanding between two people. And, you know, 90% of the time, it's a misunderstanding between two people and nobody's trying to hurt anybody. No. And then that 10% of the time, yes, we're fighting. But that you just get
get over it. Yeah,
you know?
It doesn't affect you. It doesn't kill you or, you know, it doesn't affect the rest of your life.
But I think people, especially boomers, I think most of them deal with things
push it down
silently.
Catholics
and
too.
Just I'm not gonna fucking talk.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you when I'm ready, you know, and let's just move past the, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the thing. And like I'm not that way, but
well, for me, I think, and especially for men, definitely the way of doing things was to push things deep down inside and not have any emotions at all. And that was expected. And that's part of the misery thing. It's like, you know what? I would love to speak up about how, like, I ended up in a shitty situation. I would like to speak up about how this is fucked up. I would like to do something else, but I can't. So therefore, anybody else that has a fucked up situation, I have no empathy for them at all because I'm living in the shit too. I'm miserable as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a really good, like, the example of Opie and Anthony, where they hated each other from 2001, and then they worked together for 15 years and never had the conversation.
Yeah,
and
it
just
kills you.
they
It's
like sort
poisonous.
of they sat in the same room and hated each other and did a thing together, and like I find that to be a very unhealthy way to deal with conflict.
But they don't want to say they're hurt. They don't want to say they don't want to look at another guy and say like, what you said to me made me feel bad, or like that it really hurt my feelings that way this happened, or you know, I felt like I wasn't included, you know, or I felt like I wasn't thought about. Like to them, that's woman shit, you know, like to be the word. I mean, to get into the Shocktober lingo, it's just you know, the old style of masculinity, the old style, the patriarchy. I mean, that's what it is. The patriarchy of all of this Catholic bullshit of covering things up, pushing things down, and having family secrets. I mean, family secrets are just such a stupid thing to have at all, you know?
I know.
Because if once you get over it, it's like it's way better. Things exist afterwards too. It doesn't end the world. The world doesn't end after the secret's revealed, you know?
Right. I don't like conflict either. I want to clarify this, that like I don't like conflict and generally try to avoid conflict, but I feel that the only way to solve a problem that is like maybe resentment between two people,
if it's
or
in
some kind of a problem, is if the conflict happens, it is going to be over with.
Yeah.
When the conflict's over, you know?
Well,
and that's what I think.
Well, and I have to say, talking about horror stories and stuff, like I spent a lot of my childhood being absolutely afraid of going out to eat, because my parents were constantly screaming and yelling at the help, like the people that were like cooking, cleaning, doing the dishes, any of that stuff. Like any of the service people were just treated like garbage, you know? And like, when I got older, I got to be super pacifist. I tried to be like so hippy dippy that like anybody could walk all over me, but that's totally not the way to be. You know, like you have to advocate for yourself in those situations, but like they completely fuck it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get one more in and then we'll take our break.
One
Send
more
me
to go.
some music too.
Oh shit. Okay. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
What's up, guys? Eugene Debs. How you doing?
Hey,
What's
buddy.
up,
How's it
Eugene
going?
Debs? The Eugene Debs?
The
Ohio,
Eugene Debs.
Ohio born and bred. From
Yeah.
the Ohio State.
Yeah. What's going on, Eugene?
Yes. Oh man, it's been a while. Thought I'd call in and say what's up. I have a pretty decent. First of all, that story about finding out that like your sisters, your mom, or I think that's what that was. I mean,
It's
like
even.
that he.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, they were like, oh, I don't know if this story is going to live up
Exactly.
to like, the previous callers. That's fucking horrific.
That fucking blew
Dude,
my mind. The fact that they were like, "Oh, I don't really have a good story except for that I was lied about my mom for 35 years of my life." It's like, "Oh, well, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty spooky tale. That's pretty spooky tale."
Oh, it's horrifying. I mean, you should. I don't know. Maybe he's just chiller than I am, but that anger. You know what I mean?
I think when something, but I think like we do as people,
You have to neutralize it.
But as people, we adjust to every situation. It's one of the things that kept me from like doing a podcast for so long, is that I thought I was just like a totally normal guy. There was no reason that anybody would want to listen to me talk, because I am the like absolute most normal human being in the world. And it basically took Brett being like, you're like really not normal, for me to be like, to like kind of lean into it and understand that I had something to bring. And
I mean, not so many people are as performative and dramatic when they, tell a story.
Right. But I think like, so like if that happens to you, right, and you find out about it, you have to figure out a way to live the rest of your life with it anyway. So you might as well just accept it as the I'm normal. I'm the fucking normal one. The rest of the world's crazy.
That's what I do agree. I do in my opinion, I see the world like with familial dysfunction and stuff, in that like there is like this bifurcation point. There's like this extreme chaos, and you either like you just wade into it, like you just become a dysfunctional person that figures out dysfunctional things to keep your life rolling, or like you just sidestep it and get this like third person omnipresent perspective where you're like, okay, this is not a fucking normal situation at all. You know, like you get told that, you know, the person that you thought was your sister was your mom, and you have to neutralize it and make it make sense and just keep rolling. Otherwise you just, you know, roll into the dramatic Jerry Springer version of everything, you know?
Yeah. No,
you're actually. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, I am very much a, like, you just, I'm very much like, think that a healthy way to look at the world. I think this is a healthy way to look at the world, and it's that, like, I think it's the way, I think a lot of people look at things that way, where you're like, I'm normal. I don't know why everything else is so fucking
I think
weird.
that's bad, because you're going to you play yourself every time you say that.
I mean, I feel like it helps me.
You play yourself too.
With the anxiety. It helps me with anxiety and stuff, though, to be like, no, I'm like, that's that, like, when somebody says that when somebody thinks I'm weird, I'm like, that's on them, man. That's because they're weird. You know what I mean? Like, I try to deal with it in that way, I guess. I guess that's a way I deal with things. But I try to make the world around me as normal as I possibly, or what I perceive to be normal, which is probably just some amalgamation of things I've seen on TV and fantasized about in my head my whole life, you know?
Well, this is not why I called, but this conversation definitely got me thinking about a little public service announcement. I mean, you guys are right. You know, I guess my childhood was pretty dysfunctional, and then I got into a pretty dysfunctional marriage. My life was dysfunctional because, you know, I married somebody who reflected my parents' behavior growing up, and my life was pretty dysfunctional. It wasn't really until I got away from that you know, my life, I was able to kind of like move on and like be an adult, and like, you know, you find somebody who has like a normal functioning family and a normal functioning life, and it's just like this whole new world. So
well, someone that you can engage with without like having to use like tricks or like these really like, you know, horrible ways of engaging with people. Someone that you can be honest with and feel fulfilled, and not have like them do something that quiets that or shuts it off.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to be performing for the people that are closest to you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you shouldn't. Yeah. I honestly think for the people that are closest to you, you shouldn't have to worry too much about the way you phrase things to them, and that like they're not. Like, the way that I would talk to a person I don't know as well, where, like, I'm worried about the phrasing, and like, the thing that makes me feel comfortable about the people that I'm closest to is that I can kind of just, whatever, it can come out any way it comes out. I can express myself to people in that way, and that's not a way, I mean, that's sort of like a benefit to me, and that, like, I do this for a living, where, I can't just say the first thing that pops into my head. Like, a lot of times, like, I'm beating back ugly thoughts, and like, you know, it's like I have to phrase things the right way when I'm in front of a microphone. I have to phrase things the right way. There's more leeway to make mistakes with the people that you're closest to, and I think like you should feel comfortable around them. And I think a lot of people get into situations where they like get married, or they get in a relationship with somebody, and they're dating, and they are sort of playing a game with that person while they're dating. Like the way that they engage with them is like not 100% the authentic version of themselves. And then they get married and they still can't be 100% the authentic version of themselves. And then it sets up an expectation where you will this is the person that I am. And then you get to a point in the relationship where you decide, I can't be that person anymore. I need to be who I am authentically to myself, and that's how the relationships end up falling apart.
Yeah.
I think that's how like a lot of my friendships fell apart, was just that. You know?
I would argue that you know, especially if you get into a relationship young and you had a dysfunctional family life, you might not even know who you are authentically. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like you need to, you know what I mean? You need to take time to figure out who who you even are. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean, I do think that, like, getting married in your 20s is, like, I think, I hate to be, like, a traditional kind of person. I guess this isn't very traditional, but, like, I think it would be wise to wait until you're in your 30s. And, like, I didn't do that, and I've been with the same woman since I was 19 years old, and I'm 40 years old. Like, I've been with my wife since I was 19, and I'm not like a genius about dating or anything. But even we didn't get married until I was 32, you know, because we were just kind of like, who knows where this could go? You know what I mean? Like, who knows if tomorrow I don't want to be in this situation anymore. And like, so we held off for a very long time. And I think you can live together. You can have joint bank accounts. You can do all the stuff. The reason me and my wife got married is because I was about to lose health insurance. And I needed health insurance, which I think like I think I read somewhere that like 40 to 60% of marriages are for health insurance, which is really depressing. But I guess it's a business deal anyway. It's always been that.
It's always been a business deal.
Yeah.
That's actually horrific. You know, not your particular.
Another horror story.
But just, like, in
Spooky. America is very scary. That I mean.
Oh, man.
You know, there were a few times where, like, I was like, my mental health was sort of failing me, or however you would phrase that. But like I was like really fucked up about working. Like my jobs really messed me up as a person, and like I would be miserable, and I would have like these crazy panic attacks and these periods of anxiety that lasted for a very long time. I still have them, but it was like heavier anxiety at the time. And my wife would often try to talk me into quitting my job, and then we would just get married and I would have her insurance. But I was like really scared to do that. I was like terrified to do it, and I didn't do it until like way later on in the process. So it was like it was like I think me and her, we sort of looked at marriage as a business agreement, and that's like basically all it is. You know, I mean, I guess you can add magic and stuff to it, but it really is just like the government makes you do it so you can share insurance. And that's the way I think of it, you know? I love my wife very much and everything, but I just don't feel like the marriage is like this I don't feel like my marriage is like the most important part of the thing. Like, I'm here by choice. I'm not here because of a contract. Anything like that, and I just don't think.
Well, no, they do it specifically because they want to force marriage upon people.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean
they make it impossible to live without a fucking partner. They make it impossible to live in this world without another person.
Right, and you know, it's just it's just, again, not what I call it, but it's fucked up because this traditional family structure is like built on like everyone like living on farms and having like 8 kids. We all raise cows together or whatever, you know, and that's just not how anyone lives anymore. So it's an outdated mode. I mean, I have a family, so you know, whatever. But like, I mean, where I've like, but it's just an outdated mode of living, and they still are doing everything they can to socially engineer that structure upon everybody, and it's garbage. But,
I agree with you. I sort of feel like it's kind of outdated, and look, I choose to be in a relation, like in what they would consider a traditional relationship, but like I don't think that everybody else should have to do that too. You know, like I think that like it shouldn't even be considered like traditional in a way. It should just be like, well, this is one choice of a way to go about doing things, but there are many other choices of ways to go about doing things, and it shouldn't be looked down upon if you choose one of the other choices. You know,
well, all three of us do it, and it's probably partially because we've internalized like the dominant structures, right? I mean, we're all three married and have kids and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I always say to Brian is like, I signed up for like the man versus woman battle. Like I signed up for that like regular old school, like back and forth shit. Like, it does like, it is what I was steeped and born into. You know, there is a version of me that would have been different, you know, been born later in my life. But for now, I'm pretty comfortable and I can make this work, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I guess I have a conservative, I promise you it's not as good as the past couple. It doesn't have a surprise ending, but,
yeah, I know. I mean, no one, I mean, fucking, should we take more calls after? I mean, can anybody do better than, you know, my sister was my mom. Sorry for this person.
Well, you know,
I don't want to turn this person into, you know, whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I have I have a brother-in-law who, I guess I worry about. You know, he's, you know, my wife's family's from the, you uppity suburb of Cleveland. And you know, it's an upper middle class neighborhood. So, but it's like one of those areas where, you know, it's not like, you know, near you guys like Upper Arlington, like Grandview or Upper Arlington are like nice, but they have like liberal. You know, it's still they're still pretty liberal, like Pete Buttigieg style liberals, right? You know, this is like a little bit more of a far flung suburb, and everyone's conservative, and everyone you know, grew up in this nice upper middle class suburb, but they think that they are, you know, from the country or something like that. So they have this culturally they're from the country, even though they're all rich kids, right?
Sure.
And
but they like Mossy Oak.
Mossy Oak, you know, I'm not familiar with Mossy Oak.
That's the camo. That's like the real tree shit that everybody wears.
Oh yes.
I've seen a lot of those stickers recently. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and but so he, you know, despite, you know, a lot of advantages in life, he's you know, 30 and still living with his parents and has a job, but it's a shit job and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's just kind of really a stereotypical story where you have like this upper middle class white guy who's like, life hasn't gone the way he expects it to, so he's angry about it, right? But since he has no like class analysis, he blames the wrong people, right? So he's super reactionary and is blaming, you know, blames immigrants and this and, you know, just a stereotypical Trump supporter, right? But he is also a terrible alcoholic and has like 18 guns, right? It's a combination that worries me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have this guy who drinks too much, who's super aggrieved and super reactionary, and doesn't really have a lot to, live for, I guess, like outside, like his parents and my kids, you know, and like his nieces, and like has a bunch of firearms. And it's there's not really much more to the story than that, but it's just like, you know, you have these people in your life where, maybe you guys have something like this too, where it's just like, my God, if they just like, you know, you throw a little mental health issues in there, and like, you know, this could be like an explosive situation, you know? Absolutely.
I get to shoot guns with some of my relatives, but like the whole time I'm just like, what? There could be some weird thought that comes into, like, the thing about the why people are so afraid of guns is because when you're around them, you realize that like someone could just have a weird thought in their mind to point it at somebody and pull the trigger, you know? Like there's just, and like, you know, we were just shooting him into the side of the hill. I really wasn't that afraid, but like it does become a matter of like the person that I was shooting guns with had to go to anger management classes in their life before, you know, ordered from the fucking city and shit. So they also own like an assault shotgun, which was fucking amazing to, it was incredible to shoot. It was like a Resident Evil goddamn gun. Yeah. But, but also it's like this person has fucking rage issues.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I'm not an anti-gun person, you know.
Sure, of course. No, but
disarm yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that particular mix that, you know, you start to get a little worried, you know what I mean?
I know it is,
But,
I think it's, you know, we don't like, there's not a lot of fear mongering that, like, you know, that I can think of that I have in my life, you know, but that is like one of my irrational fears is something like that, you know. They're not going to do anything with those goddamn guns, but you just see the potential there for a bad situation, you know, and you just can't help but think of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a scary thought. You definitely blessed us with a very scary thought. I'm going to be up all night. You know what's funny though, as a father, this is what, like, I feel like this makes me different from other people. As a father, probably once a day or like right before bed, I imagine someone breaking into the house, or like some Republican that listens to the show or whatever it may be. But like every time I have that like thought, I just imagine the way that I would take them down and kill them. Like, I've never lost in my mind. I've never once like been afraid of dying. I've always figured out that like I would just pluck their eyeballs out of their fucking heads, or turn it on them, or do something so wild that it would just, you know, like I just never lose that battle. That's like how I avoid like the anxiety of thinking about that shit, I guess.
Have you guys had this at your kids' schools? Our schools here, they just had fucking active shooter drills, which I just thought was just the most like disgusting shit.
Yeah,
like,
we haven't done it.
They recruited kids. They recruited fucking kids to like be part of them. Like it was
to be like crisis actors.
They had like, what's that?
To be a crisis actor.
Yes, they recruited like 10-year-olds to be fucking crisis actors.
Well, I actually had a moment where my heart skipped a beat this week, where Charlotte was like, I had a drill this week, and my wife was like, yeah, what was the drill? And she was like, it was, what was it? And I'm just like, oh, was it an active shooter drill? Like, I'm just like, in my mind, I was just waiting for her little sweet face to say active shooter. You know, I've never seen her say those words in my life. But she was like running through them, and then she was like, oh, it was a fire drill. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Gwen's been through it.
Yeah.
Gwen's been on lockdown a few
talked
times.
About them,
yeah, they've been on lockdown a few times.
Yeah.
It's a weird
it's
world.
A common part of school these days. It's very spooky.
It is. Wow, yeah. It is scary. All right, thanks for calling, Eugene. We got to take a break.
Yeah, I'm
sweaty.
All right, guys, bye.
All right.
Yeah,
we
weren't kicking you out.
I'm gonna start.
Oh no, it's all good. Have fun.
This is so this album is called It's by Jack on Fire. It's called Waiting for the End of the World. And let me make sure everything's going here. We got sound. Okay, here we go.
Congratulations, you were born. No one cares. But be forewarned. No one cares. You can bitch and moan and cry. No one cares. But you got to ask why. No one cares. Mommy wasn't fair and daddy wasn't there. Yeah, your job it sucks and you can't get fucked. But no one cares. So baby, why should you? It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. Yeah, get up from me. Get down. The guy you fucked had a girlfriend. No one cares. Well, holy shit, it's the world's end. No one cares. Professional stagnation. No one cares. You got sick on your vacation. No one cares. You car, you crash. What the hell is that rash? Yeah, my kitty cat died. Why, God, why? Life's got you pissed. God doesn't exist. So hey, check yourself. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, yeah, get up from the get down. And if you find this notion flawed, it's cool, 'cause no one cares about this song, yeah, sing it with me. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. pieces is coming for your swimming pool. Shit in the mayo, fuck your Wonder Bread. Steal your dog and train it to bite off Whitey's head. Brown up on the Bible, set him on fire. Spill rose Jesus on the funeral pyre. Antifa, hey! Antifa, hey! Coming for your uncle and your auntie. Hooray! Death to America, death to the troops. Reflecting pools where we're gonna dump our poop. Crackers in the streets getting stopped and frisked. Round up all your babies and turn them into bisque. Don't cry unless you're white. White genocide, rah rah rah. White genocide, rah rah rah. White genocide, rah rah rah. White genocide, rah 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 rah. Yay! Yeah, I'm a messy bitch.
I can confirm he is a messy bitch.
Always starting up that messy shit.
In the manner of a messy bitch.
I live for drama, cause I'm a Bama ass bitch. Yeah, I got an enemies list and it helps me track all of the messy bitchin'. Like my main bitch, Richard Nixon, but without the anti-Semitism. I hate the haters and I hate fake friends. Good thing, cause I'm not here to make no friends. Marie Kondo says she loves mess.
She love him, I can attest.
Spark joy, all up in this bitch. Messy, 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 messy bitch. Messy, 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 messy bitch. Messy, 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 messy bitch. Messy, 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 messy bitch. Surf's up, we're fucked. Surf's up, we're fucked. Surf's up, baby, baby, yeah, the tide is climbing, but that don't mean that we can't have a good time and say hello to the brand new climate. It's permanent surfing time and New Orleans, California. We got an ocean across the USA, been working all week to get to Rocky Mountain Beach. Pennsylvania, Arlington, and the forest, the tastiest waves. Paddle down through Wall Street, we're gonna surf all day. Yeah, the summer's all year now, the sun is here to stay. Baby, baby, better grab your sunscreen and put your cares away. Surf's up, we're fucked. Surf's up, we're fucked. Pennsylvania, Arlington, and the forest, the tastiest waves. Paddle down through Wall Street, we're gonna surf all day. Yeah, the summer's never gonna end. It's never, ever, ever gonna end. It's never, ever, never, ever, never, ever gonna end. It's never gonna end. Yeah. Hit my back wall, Kylo Ren. Stab me like you stabbed your dad. Hit my back wall, Kylo Ren. Join me in my dark side, be bad. Son of darkness, make me tunnel buddies with Lena Dunham.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Street Fight Radio. That was Jack on Fire with the album Waiting for the End of the World. If you want to hear more of that, just go to jackonfiredc.bandcamp.com. It's one of our listeners, and if you have music for the show that won't get us kicked off our stream and you want to send it in, streetfightradio@gmail.com is the best place to send those links. DMs work as well, but you have a higher percentage of getting on the air if you just do the email route. Thank you, Jack on Fire, for sending that in. I hope you all have enjoyed the call-in show. It's been very horrific and spooky so far. I can't wait to get into the rest of this. If you want to hear more of Street Fight Radio, we offer bonus content on Patreon. It's a place to support artists, patreon.com/StreetFightRadio. There's some bonus audio coming out this week that's going to be really good, and we're going to have the regular show going, We'll be back on schedule for a few weeks, but then we got to hit the road with MDC. But thanks for tuning in. Ready to do this?
Yeah, we're going to hit the road soon. For sure.
I'm switching to analog weed. I'm going to smoke a joint.
All right. Well, I'm going to sit here and drink my last cherry bubbly and some water out of my daughter's orthodontist water bottle because I lost my very important water bottle. So.
Oh, no. All right. Well, let's see who's on the line. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, what's up? It's Jeff from New Orleans.
What's up, buddy? Jeff? How's it going, dude?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
I'm
okay. Bit, please. How y'all been?
Pretty good. I mean, we were gonna do the call-in show last week, but we decided just to do a regular show because I was exhausted. It was like the day after we got back into town, and it was kind of like that's a tough move to make after traveling for 10. We were gone for so long on that one. So, but we're gonna be home for 4 months.
Well, I went out to Chicago. I went to Chicago for that time. It was pretty sweet because I went and checked out some of that teacher strike that's going on.
Oh, you went to Chicago?
Yeah, I went up there on Friday last week. Participated in one of the big marches and met some really awesome people from the Chicago DSA.
Awesome. Yeah, the Chicago DSA there's a lot of really cool people. There's so many cool people in Chicago anyway. Like every time we go there, we get to hang out.
I love every person that I met in Chicago was so nice, except there's one like really weirdly anti-Semitic Polish landlord.
Yeah, I mean, well,
you have that.
Yeah, you're gonna have that. I mean, they do yell a lot more in Chicago than other places I've been.
It's pretty straight up with people. Like sometimes you just got to yell at people. That's cool.
Right, but I think it's funny because there are so many there's so many stereotypes about people in the Midwest that like Chicago just smashes all of those stereotypes because like I just when I go there, Chicago and LA are two places where like one of the big impressions I took is that people scream at each other on the street there. It's just a place where people scream at each other.
I don't know. Like even though I saw a lot of that, like there was a lot of love in that screaming, right? There was still some very lovely people doing that screaming.
Tough love.
Which is a beautiful thing. I love it.
It's just the Midwest. When Jack Allison was here, he was like, oh, man, everybody's so nice in Columbus because they got to spend 2 days here. like in this city, kind of just hanging out. Jack and Leslie did. And Jack was like, people are just so nice, you know, when you're walking on the sidewalk and they have to pass you, they say they're sorry. And I'm like, oh, Jack, I hate to tell you this, but that means you're walking too slow. Fuck you. Because like, I also like, I apologize a lot, but my apologies a lot of the times are like, fuck you, you know, like in my mind.
Sorry you're walking so slow.
It's like kind of a like, yeah, it is like, because by the convention center, which is kind of where they were staying, by the convention center, there are a lot of people here from other places doing like medical conventions, or that's what was there last week. I walk through the convention center all the time. Like a real lack of cosplay in that convention center, you know. It's like there's only certain
they don't do enough real good conventions.
Yeah.
It's all these boring, like professional conventions.
I know. You know what's funny about those professional conventions, Jeff? They all have live podcasts at them, which I find to be...
Oh, yeah, that was a big deal.
Just the most ridiculous thing. Like, I walked through...
Like the dental convention.
Yes.
As a fucking podcast.
I swear, dude, I walked through one day at... I think it was like an insurance convention, if I'm not mistaken. And there was like a table set up, and two people were doing a podcast at that table, and they had an audience of like 30 people standing around that probably were like, these motherfuckers are stars to me.
Yeah.
I listened to this insurance podcast.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
cool. It's kind of a beautiful thing, though, right?
I love it. Hey, I think it's odd. I don't know if maybe they're making a living, like that's just a side job for them, the podcast. Like if they're making a living from an insurance podcast, then I have a lot more faith in like the world and show business than I did before.
It's a leg up, though. I mean, it's a leg up in that industry, right? Like you can just say you're the person that does that and like get a little extra credibility.
Oh yeah, I mean, like at the cable company when when I told people I had a podcast at the cable company, they were like immediately fascinated with me, like within like a second.
But I mean, if you did a cable podcast though, then like the higher ups would be way more interested in you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Well, the thing that I've noticed, like by doing like a radio show or whatever, has been that like when you say you do a podcast, people are like whatever, who cares? But you say, well, it's a radio show and you can listen on the radio. They have like a different kind of attention that they pay to it.
Oh, we did. That was our hustle from the beginning. As soon as we got on community radio, we stopped calling ourselves a podcast.
Well, I'm stealing your hustle then.
Yeah,
no, it's a great move.
We went back to podcasts though. We decided we're a podcast now because you can say fuck on a podcast.
Well, I can't. Okay, so the thing with GMC is that we haven't made it to the point where we can get away with saying that we're just a podcast. So we're gonna trade on that radio value is for as long as it's good.
Look,
and then as soon as it's useless, we're gonna spin it off.
I think radio. I mean, there is to me a certain amount of prestige in radio.
It's totally legacy prestige. It's like legacy prestige.
Right? Yeah, because if you want to get on a community radio station, you can. It's not. There's not like a high cost of entry to something like that, but it is also like a lot of us grew up with radio being like an extremely important part of the culture, you know? Like,
absolutely.
I think I talked about this on Shocktober a few times, but like in most cities, the two most famous people are the news anchors and the DJs on the radio stations. Like those were like they were locals. It's not this way anymore. Like, I don't think anybody knows who their hard rock afternoon drive DJ is.
You don't think Loper and Randy?
Loper and Randy's morning. Well, who's the afternoon drive?
Oh, nobody knows the afternoon. You're right.
Yeah. Who's the afternoon drive radio show?
You got me.
Like, I honestly think that I could ask 10 people if they knew Loper and Randy, and 3 of them would know, and 7 would not know. There's not. It is an industry that I firmly believe is dead. Like, not dying. Dying is something I would have said in 2005. You know, like radio's dying in 2005. I've had this conversation a few times with people where like my running theory now is that like there's a whole generation of people that don't even know how to tune into a radio station. Like I truly believe that. Like if my daughter,
they don't know what Seek. They're like, what is Seek?
Yeah, what are these numbers? What's with the numbers? You know. I think 20-year-olds don't know. Yeah, like when we do live shows and I talk to people about Shocktober, they're like really shocked at how famous those guys were. They're like, I mean, like, were they really like that big of a deal? And it's like, fucking yes, they were.
Shocktober, like the Shock Jocks were so good though. Like, I don't know, there was just something so transcendent about that time period. It's really amazing.
They let you do things.
Like, it's just a real snapshot in time.
Right, because there was like this
over with.
idea. There was like this idea that like there were some kind of rules in society, and then there were these guys that like were actually paid more to like break those rules. Like their job was like, oh, there's a set of norms and rules, but then there's like 8 people in the country that are like their whole job is like, I gotta break these rules, and that's kind of gone now.
Yeah,
really.
well, yeah, that's the best part, because like every incentive in terms of the industry was to break those rules, but every rule was designed to like stop the industry from like actually like materially being interesting.
Yeah.
So like you kind of like had like the thing that the fact that the rules were in that place made the fact that they were breaking the rules like possible.
I also feel like the rules, something about the rules that like gets to me is like, in the end, and you'll hear this on the Howard Stern episode, in the end, it's an inherently kind of conservative type of entertainment, in that like they followed all the radio rules. Like they did, they broke society's rules, and they said the things that you weren't supposed to say. But in terms of radio, it was like, I signed a contract, and that means I have to be here. And like, you have to be able to talk up a song in order to do this. If you can't say Up Next, we have Far Behind by Candlebox, then you're not worth a shit, you know? And it's like, that it's such an odd thing.
You said it yourself in the Opie and Anthony episode, when it was like, every 15 minutes, Howard Stern would just try and like spike the ratings just so he would get the numbers. He's just following the rules that are put in front of him.
I said that, and it blew Brett's mind so much that he wanted to take on. I thought it felt like you were like, I'm gonna be that guy. Every 15 minutes, I'm just gonna ask somebody if they do anal, and that's how I'm gonna keep.
That's not the wrong thing to think either. I mean, no, exactly. Like if you want to do what if you want to get like whatever metrics, or that is exactly the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, yeah, I mean that seems like an easy job. Like now we have to be like compelling and honest and like bare our soul. But if I was just like every 15 minutes had to say something to make somebody go nuts or to be rude or like provocative, God, I could do that. Like that would be so much better.
That came too late.
But,
yeah.
And I sort of feel like with what we do, what podcasts do, I'm not going to say just me and Brett do, infinitely more interesting in that like the format rules don't exist for us. And that like it is like, as far as how conversation works, it's like podcasts are a much better vehicle for people having compelling conversations, because we can lay out for an hour. I don't have to be funny every 2 minutes like stand up. You know what I mean? I can like.
Oh, thank God. Good thing for that.
Yeah. But I don't have to do, there's so much that I don't have to do. I do though think that if you're a podcaster or a host out there and you're listening to this, like, I would encourage you to do open mic stand up. I think it's like a really important, it's an important element of what got me and Brett where we are. And I think like, even like with the Chapo guys, like, they continued to get better. At least
understanding that experience.
Yeah, and they continued to get better as they perform live. Like, it's such a singular thing doing a podcast. It's such a solitary thing where it's like you are talking and you don't know what's working. And the Shock Jocks did this too, but you have a perception of what's working, but until you've tested that in front of a room of people that don't know who you are, you really don't know what's working, because there's things.
That's scary.
There's things
I can't imagine anything scarier than that.
There's things in podcasting though that like there's things on Street Fight that me and Brett absolutely love and loved doing, and found out after taking it in front of people it wasn't that good, and like we could have kept doing it, you know, like, oh, maybe we'll try it, but you just drop it. Because I used to love writing like skits for the show. Like I had a good time writing them, but like we got in front of audiences and we saw what worked with us, and it was like, you know, what actually works for us is like honesty and sincerity, and like, you know, trying to be as funny as we possibly can, and thought-provoking. But like we would have never figured that out had we not stood in front of audiences. And I think that like you can, if you do a podcast, you can like really fall in love with segments or things in your podcast that you really like, that like may not be connecting with the listeners of the podcast, because you don't have any way to tell what is connecting and what isn't connecting. And the Shock Jocks did that a lot too, because I don't truly think that like strippers on the radio or like the big stunts, I don't think those were compelling.
You can't see them. That's the thing about the strippers on the radio, is you can't see them.
Yeah, I don't feel like
it's like a theater of the mind stuff.
I feel like the most compelling stuff on those shows is when they're just talking and having a conversation. But they felt like no, the most compelling things we do is like have couples have sex in public places, and like but like if they had like engaged, if they had engaged their audience in a different way, they would have understood like, no, like we're really just looking for like a free flowing funny conversation. And like I really the first 2 years of Street Fight, I think I would say like the first four years of Street Fight were like we tried to do written material for the first year and a half, and you know what, it didn't work. It like just, I don't think people liked it. And then
writing stuff hard, right?
And then after we tried that, you know, I think we got a little too serious for a period of time, and I don't think people like that either, you know. And like we hit on what we do. It took us a long time to hit on what we do, but now we know what we do and we know how to make it. And I mean, that's why I'm comfortable like that's like why I'm comfortable doing the POD cast and Shocktober and stuff, is because like I really truly think it took me and Brett this many years to get this thing to a point where we know what people like and what we want to do, you know, like how to do it.
There's a real difficult balance between like responding to feedback and like staying true to yourself, right? Like you don't want to like bend yourself over backwards and like not be who you are, in terms of like when people say, hey, you know, or even when you don't get like explicit feedback, when you just don't get like the response that you expect.
Yeah.
And you just have to adapt to whatever situation's going forward. And then there's a difference between doing that and just sort of pandering. And like the second thing, the pandering, is sucks and it's obvious, and like it doesn't work.
Right. I think that like you have to still do what you do, and but you have to. Right. When you are doing a podcast, you are inherently in an entertainment field, and you are an entertainer.
Yeah.
And your responsibility number one, I mean, you can make your number one responsibility politics, and I admire people who do that. You know, I think that I think that that's like an admirable. I think it's an admirable way to go, but I think like you should also still understand that like one of your top priorities needs to be entertaining, and like that's something that we work really hard to kind of. You know, it's like, this is an entertainment show, and I work very hard.
I'll do a good job of that
to make it entertaining first, and then hopefully the politics get in there. You know, so
no, that comes through. It really does.
Jeff, tell them where to find your show, and thank you for Good Morning Comrade, right?
Yeah.
And where can they get it?
Comrade, that's Good Morning. GoodMorningComrade.com. You can also check us out at WHIV.org/good-morning-comrade.
Did you say WHIV?
Every time we do this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've been through this.
Yeah, WIV. It's Radio WIV.
WIV.
They should change
WIV radio.
They should change it, but I you know what? You don't have any choice in
No,
the
tell
matter.
him again, because he doesn't know. Please, Jeff, explain to him.
So The radio station is a part of a nonprofit called the New Orleans Infectious Disease Association.
Oh, okay.
So the idea is that to spread awareness of like HIV and stuff.
Okay,
And
it's
also
good
that,
then.
like,
Brian's
we
aware,
honor
but he's
independent
uncomfortable.
voices.
Brian's aware now, but he's uncomfortable.
That's fine.
Now I feel like I made fun
Look,
of
that's
AIDS. I'm not like making fun of that. I'm just saying that like HIV is like not a positive thing to like.
Actually,
I don't know
appreciate
what.
you
I don't know
bringing
how to
this
explain it.
conversation forward.
Yeah,
Sure.
right. I don't know how to explain
No,
it.
no,
I'm
no.
saying that like I'm tuning into the radio station and like you're tuning
So
in.
here's why you're 100% like. This is why this is a good response and a good conversation to have is because, in terms of like bringing this conversation forward, the idea behind and Mark Allen, the director, is a friend of mine. He says that like part of the destigmatization process or whatever is engaging in these sorts of conversations.
That's
of
true.
course.
So I like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't
So-
know why I reacted like that because part of me and Brett always talk about destigmatization with drug use. So it's like exactly the same thing, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, you got to be entertainer, but yeah, it is. I do remember the last time you called. So
Sorry,
that
Jeff.
was really good.
I'm an idiot. Thanks for calling, Jeff, and hopefully we see you again.
I love
soon.
you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, we love you
Yeah,
too.
peace.
Yeah.
Jeff is a very sweet guy. He drove us back to our hotel from Kaiju Big Battle, a wrestling show that I didn't enjoy.
All right. Ooh, slander. All right, we've got enough to get through this. I don't think we're in speed round mode next, but I think we'll get you all in here. So stay on the line. You ready to do this?
Absolutely.
How you
I'm
feeling
ready.
about that the end of that call?
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
Well,
You know?
it is still something that needs to be talked about. There is a lot of issues regarding like access to care that like takes care of things
Right.
like that, like Truvada or PrEP, as it's called, like those type of things. I did see Pete Buttigieg talk about like a comprehensive plan for like providing that for people, which is a very important issue to talk
what would
about
be
in
a
this
good-
day and age.
You know what would be a
Because-
good comprehensive plan for getting that to people? Medicare for all.
Sure.
Like they would be able to just get it.
Right, but I think that like during our growing up period, that was like a death sentence, and now it's like a completely different situation. So like you just have an outdated idea of like what HIV means, you know?
Right.
Co-
Yeah.
and the
Absolutely.
preventative measures that are available these days.
Absolutely. I do. Like, you know, I'm not perfect.
No, it's fine. No,
Something
it's great.
bad.
You do a good job. It's good to get it out there. It's great to have the conversation.
Also, I think this time I thought he said WHIZ, which is also
The Wiz. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
I would.
Oh, you would call it the Wiz? Like, the first thing you thought was like Smart Wizard.
Yeah, Wiz.
When I hear Wiz, the first thing I think is taking a piss.
PP? Oh, no.
Yeah, because my wife calls it a Wiz.
You also, you know what? Something that's always made me uncomfortable about you is that you said when someone says they're going to do a load like of laundry, you think of like a load of jizz.
Everybody thinks of loads.
I never
Like,
call it a load.
literally,
It's never a load to
if
me.
you're on the phone, we're gonna ask you. But when
Someone
you hear
says
the
load.
word load, you think of. If you don't think of jizz, I just think you're an abnormal person.
No,
like when I look at the laundry container and it says it's got 51 loads in it. I'm like,
that's just like, all right.
Whoa, that's a lot of loads.
Yeah. Quite a
I've
bit.
dropped that many in my life.
That's a
or
lot of
more.
that's a lot of baby batter.
Hey.
All right, let's see who's on the line next
I'm
here.
gonna ask them too.
Thanks for
whoever
calling
it is.
Street Fight. Are you thinking about loads tonight?
Hello.
Howdy.
Hey, I got a question. It's just an honest
This
question.
is horrific. This is part of our horrific
is-
series of questioning.
When you see the word load, do you think of jizz? That's all I'm asking.
Of course.
Really?
Like who? What else is there to think about?
Exactly. That's exact shit.
I do so
but
much
like
laundry.
I think of loads.
I just
as
only
jizz.
laundry is my number one. I spend so much time on laundry that
What are you, a fucking grandma? Like
I know.
Yeah,
he's a grandma.
I am.
He is a grandma.
I absolutely.
He's just like he looks at the word load and he was like he thinks of laundry.
I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta go throw something. I gotta go switch it over right now.
right. You don't laugh like Beavis and Butthead when you see that you can do maximum loads on the washer. You're
Nope.
like, I'm
Nope.
maximum load.
Nope.
That's a lot of jizz. What's your name?
You're not living right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Zach from
What-
Minnesota.
What's up, Zach? How's it going tonight?
Doing good. How about you guys?
We're in a good mood. I mean, I'm not like, dropping any loads or anything like that, but I'm feeling okay, It's loads of
Yeah.
jizz.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, I'm just making sure. This goes out over the airwaves. What's up, Zach? How's it going?
I don't know. Like, I've got a bunch of topics right now that I'm thinking of that I'm like trying to debate which one to do. Like, I've got shitty manager stories, maybe some Opie and Anthony. Yeah, I'm not sure which one. I don't know what I want to talk about.
I'm interested in either one of those. I am an Opie and Anthony expert. Which one
Okay.
do you think is the spookiest story?
The spookiest story?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my okay. So when a year ago, I had my first job, and I was working at Target. Now, I went in pretty like innocent, like I had never had a job
Sure.
before. So I'm like, okay, I like Target. I like walking around. It'll be fun. It'll be good. And let's look at the job descriptions. Which one's the best one? Oh, this one, cart attendant. Oh, I just push carts all day.
Oh!
That'll be fun. Wrong.
A lot of work.
Here's the thing about cart attendant is that not only are you pushing the carts, you're also a glorified janitor. You're the guy cleaning up the shit, the puke. That's what you're doing. That's your realm. That's your job.
So you're just like a gopher. You're
And-
just like anytime something happens, they're like,
Yeah.
just take them off carts and let them
Yeah.
do it.
I want to like
And everybody
phrase.
fucking hates you. Like,
Everybody hates you. I want to put something out there,
Yeah,
though,
everyone-
Zach. First, to remind the listeners, you said you're calling from Minnesota, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you don't do carts in Minnesota. Like, that I can't think of a worse idea. But I'll say
No.
this: I got a job
Thankfully, I quit before winter, but like I was talking to a guy who did them in the winter, and he was telling me stories about how like he almost died because it got too cold, but the manager made him stay outside. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Well, pushing carts in
But,
snow.
that's
sucks.
how I
did it
lost
in the
this
winter.
finger.
But I want to say this though. I do want to say like I'm with you on this because like when I got the job at Chuck E. Cheese, I thought like, how could this suck? Like what could suck about this job? I'm actually here to fix the games, and they told me I could play
Yeah.
games. Like how could this suck? And then they were like,
What's wrong?
some kid was crawling through the tunnels and he shit himself, and then all the other kids crawled through the shit, and we need you to climb in there and clean all the shit out of the inside of the tubes. And it was like, oh, okay, this is why adults say work sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so my first time I ever cleaned up any shit, I was pushing carts, and then I got a call on my walkie-talkie, and my manager was like, Zach, I think you should come in, which that's not a good sign. That's never a good sign when they're like, I think you should see this, but they won't tell you what the fuck it is on the phone.
They
You're like,
never
what is it?
want
And they're
you-
like, you should come, you should take a look.
Yeah, they never want you inside if you're doing carts. I gotta say, like, this is a fascinating thing about Target, though. I didn't know that was a job there because at the grocery store I worked at, carts were baggers. So, like, you were a bagger and you bagged the groceries most of the time, and then every hour, or like, you got to do an hour of carts a day. So each one of the baggers did an hour of carts a day.
Well, here's the thing: is what they don't tell you is that you're also like a part-time cashier. So when there's not enough cashiers on the line one day, then they put you on cash, but you're not. You never were never formally fucking trained to be a cashier,
Oh,
so you
God.
don't know what the fuck you're doing. And they put me on at like Saturday at like 11 fucking a.m. and there's just hordes of people. Like
Only the
non-dead
worst
amount of
time.
people.
That's
And they're
totally
like,
true.
You're here just. And it's a super Target, so people are buying like fucking $400 groceries and shit. And then it's like they give me an apple and there's no sticker on it. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, what do I do with
Yeah.
this? I just hold it. Like, what am I gonna do? It sucks. It's bad. But like
My
I was
God,
saying,
I
it's
hated.
like, come in.
I hated doing the cashier
Okay,
stuff
what were
too. But go ahead.
Oh.
You the manager calls you. I'm just saying when I did carts.
Yeah. Optiwella in the chat said they're hitting a cart right now.
Oh, okay.
Right. All this cart talk.
When I do carts, when I did carts, that it was sort of a thing where they were like, first of all, you weren't allowed to go to the smoking table. They fucking saw you at that smoking table, which I did all the time.
Yeah.
But like they were staking that smoking table out. But also like it just like if you showed up inside to go pee, a manager would like in a huge store, a manager would be up your ass like, what are you doing inside? You're supposed to be doing carts. So yeah, it has to be bad if he's calling you in.
Yeah, so he calls me in, and then I go, what is it? He's like, it's the bathrooms. And I go, okay, what is it? And he goes, it's a little, and then he did that thing with his hands where he's like the 50-50 thing, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good, because he's like a really positive guy. And so then I walk in, and I look at the stall, and I open it up, and I see there's a stall right there, there's a toilet seat. One half the toilet seat completely smeared with shit, like totally, like just fucking dark brown. The other half completely clean, like you could eat out white.
God.
So then what? So I was like,
were-
I had never cleaned it up before, and like he was like, just grab some towels or some shit. I go, okay, I'll do that. I didn't do that. I just brought my mop in. I took that mop. I mopped the toilet with the mop.
Yep.
And then I locked that fucking stall, and I said it's out of order, and then I went about the rest of my day.
That's exactly that's bravo. You did the right thing. Because I remember I was a teenager, I worked at this toy store, and there's a bathroom situation, and someone smeared shit on like the mirrors and all over the whole fucking place. And they were like, I was like, there's a drain in the bottom of this thing. I'm taking this fucking mop and just slinging it all over the walls. Like I had like literally a 10-foot pole between me and that shit. And like, I didn't care how it got up, but I'm not going to do like any sort of like toothbrush work on it.
Yeah.
Like I just went crazy with the mop on it.
I mean, I did like the women's bathroom. There was like a women's issue that happened in the women's bathroom that I had to go in at Chuck E. Cheese and like clean up. And like it really, as a 16-year-old toxic masculinity kid, like seeing that tampon fucked me up for a good period of time. It was just all over the place.
You never got your blood wings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't like to talk about, but you know, it's one of those things that's like, people are gonna do wild shit in public bathrooms. Like that's just the way
it's wild in there.
The world we have to live in.
If you have a mop, if you have a big wet mop that's covered in like Fabuloso or like some sort of like just all-purpose cleaner, like you can take down all the disgusting things of the world.
Yeah. So that's what you have to look at.
But you should be rewarded handsomely. I feel like that's live streaming needs to go into the public bathrooms of America, where it's like, I'm about to clean this fucking place. I'm only getting paid $8.50 an hour. You know, like this is not a fair deal.
So like, do you think like if you have to clean up shit, they should just have to give you
hazard
$50?
pay, combat pay, hazard pay, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Double your hourly rate.
Oh God, yeah.
No, they should
Yeah,
give
I
you
know.
$50
Dude,
because your
there was one
hourly
time-
rate's nothing.
You know what's funny is like we were talking about it at the Halloween party last night. I've picked up poop to throw at my friends. Like if I see dog poop on the ground when I was a kid, I would pick it up and throw it at my friends. I've like shit in the sink and picked it up and transferred it to the toilet. But like if it's somebody else's, like, and you're paying me money, like $9 is not enough. I really need something more. I need a payday. I need a payday. I can clean up your shit, but it needs to be a payday. I don't know.
I have this shit story to end all shit.
Why don't we value it? We just don't value it.
Yeah, we should. What?
Please,
hit us with I need to hear this.
The most
It's a
horrific
Halloween
shit
episode.
story.
Okay,
Yes, we have some
so-
more calls, but I really
All
want to
right.
get spooked right now.
All right, so I'm pushing my cart outside, and then I get a call, and this was like, halfway through my tenure there, so I couldn't just quit on the spot because I still wanted the job. And so I get a call on my phone from one of my managers, and he's like, you have to come in now. And I'm like, oh, shit. And he's like, get in here as soon as possible. So I go, okay, this isn't good. So I walk in, and there's 10 people in front of, there's like beauty sections in Targets or whatever?
Uh-huh.
There's 10 people in front of the section, 10 employees, and they're directing customers away from, they go, go away, get away, go away, don't step there, go. Like they're directing people like air traffic controllers. I go, oh fuck, what is this? And then my manager comes over to me and he goes, Zach, I'm gonna have to show you this. And in front of the section, like the beauty section, I just see a line of shit, just like right in front of it, clear as day. And I go, oh my God. I go, this is bad. And he goes, it gets worse. And what had happened was some dude had started at the back of the beauty section. He had walked through every column on both sides, and there was just a line of shit going through every column. But it gets worse, okay? He left the beauty area. He went around the whole store, the whole supermarket, okay?
See, I like
There's
this
a
guy.
giant circle,
Yeah.
all right? He comes back to the beauty section, takes a right again, walks down. You know how in Targets there's numbered cashier booths or whatever? He walks down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He gets all the way to cashier number 17. He walks through that one, takes another left, goes to the water fountain. All right, this is where the line's going. There's an explosion at the water fountain, a mountain of shit at the water fountain. Probably because he bent over, a bunch of shit got fucking pushed out, and then he left. All right. And then what happened was people were pushing their carts, and so then more shit got
Oh my God.
thrown around the store.
Everybody's
Different
traipsing through
angles
it.
everywhere.
No, they're like, no,
The whole
I have
store.
to shop. I need to get through here. And it's like, no, that's shit, ma'am. It's like, no, I have to get through here. I have to get through here, though. I
had to
want to go here.
tell
I have to
people,
get
they're like-
through. No, I want to get to that side of the store to
Okay.
buy stuff, so I'm going to go through the shit.
It's fucking insane, dude.
I mean, I really, that's like when there was a Street Fighters group thing about like throwing up at work, and there was times when I just felt a little bit queasy, and like I riled it up in myself to like just puke in front of everybody at work because you get sent home immediately, you know?
Yeah.
And
I'm not
like,
real good at puking lately.
if I were to have a diarrhea situation at a Target, like I wouldn't rush out of the door so quickly. I would do like the Yosemite Sam thing, like my biscuits are burning, and you're just running around in circles spraying diarrhea all over the Target. But now, to know that you're on the other side of it, I don't know. It's a good story. So I guess if you do have diarrhea, you should do it all over the Target, but leave some cash behind. Leave a tip, maybe.
I would run.
Leave a tip to the jar.
Yeah, just throw a $20. Like, well, he did leave a $100 bill in the pile of shit. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so bad. Firstly, I just want to say that like, now I'm terrified of diarrhea in public.
Really?
Like, I'm just trying to think of how I would respond to that, and I can't think of a way that is acceptable. Like, I don't know what the prime way for the customer to deal with it, other than, honestly,
I'm getting the fuck out of there. I mean, I'm just like, this shit is canceled. This Target trip is canceled. I would be the fuck out of there. Over.
Honestly, I'm going to tell you what. This is like my Miss Manners segment. This is a manners thing. I'm going to teach you manners, and this is how you deal with this. This is the way an ethical person who is a decent person deals with this issue, and that is, okay, you diarrhea all over the Target. You got to walk up to the customer service counter, and you got to tell them, I diarrhea all over this place. Can you give me a mop? I'm going to clean it up myself.
Can I get a roll of paper towels?
Yes. And then you clean it up yourself.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how
fair.
it gets done.
That's fair.
But here's the fucking thing.
You're gonna do it in your shitty underwear?
That's too bad, dude.
You're standing there in your shitty underwear and pants, and you're just like, yeah, I sure made a mess of this.
Right. What would you do if you were at home, though?
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
You got to do what you would do anywhere.
Yeah.
And like the thing about it is we're so conditioned to believe that like we shouldn't have to do any work when we're in public.
Yeah, that's somebody else's problem.
Even like at Target, a thing I do, which I know is bad, is like sometimes I'll just like pick something up and I'll start walking around with it and I'll be like, I don't want this anymore. And I'll just put it somewhere else. And I know somebody has to go around the store and move that stuff. And I know I shouldn't do it. But I just do it because it's just like, what, am I going to walk back and put it where it comes from?
Yeah, I would say it's good exercise, and it also helps the employee if you take it all the way back. But I agree.
I know. Yeah.
Though that is a sinister thing because I did so much facing in my life that I was like, no, if you don't want that, you have to go all the way back, and you have to put it on the rack.
and you have to make sure it's sized too. Like you have to return it how you found it.
I know.
It's like a
I know.
campsite.
I know, but it's again. That's why. But like we're talking about like new manners in an era in this era now where we're going to have to change people. Like we're gonna have to like actually condition people to
Clean up their own shit
in a different way in public and in public spaces. Like we're gonna have to change the way people think about their relationship with Target.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to change the way that people think because like that's one
you're
of
right.
the reasons.
No, landing this plane, you're right. Like it is like to get starting with like the vindictiveness, the meanness, the I'm better than everybody else. Oh, you have to clean somebody else's shit because I did. And then moving over to something that is more ownership of your own diarrhea, you know, at that point where you're like, I'm responsible for my own diarrhea now.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a very bold stance.
diarrhea.
People want to just let the government clean up their diarrhea. They want to say America takes care of their diarrhea, but you have to do your own diarrhea.
Right. And like that I truly feel like the way if I was Dear Abby, right? Like or Dear Prudence or whoever the person is that you write advice to, I do feel like if I could dictate what the norms were, it would be you have to clean up your own diarrhea and puke and pee.
Yeah.
And you also have to take the stuff back to the shelf where it belongs. It's unacceptable to pick something up, take it to the other side of the store, decide you don't want it, and just put it there.
True.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And that's a behavior that I engage
Agreed.
in, and I'm going to stop doing it.
That's radical.
Yeah. I'm going to
Please do.
stop. I'm done with it.
Well, thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Really fun calling in.
Yeah, good call. Peace out. You know, that was also a big thing with having a kid, where it's like this kid just dumped a pile of milk all over the floor or like spilled Cheerios everywhere. And I would I would just ask like, hey, can you give me like your cleaning stuff? Like I don't have enough on me to take care of this spill. Like go grab, where's the mop and bucket? I'll go back there if you can tell me where it's at, but I'm about to take care of this because my shitty kid did this. It was you did nothing. You came here to just make sure that everything was sized and faced, and then she showed up and fucked up your whole world. You know?
Right. And they don't give a shit. That the manager doesn't give a shit that you're about to do something that would prevent an employee from having to do something terrible, and they'll just be like, no, we have an underling person.
Yeah, we have
a cart boy that we make clean up all the diarrhea. It's great, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta get one yourself.
Cart boy, yes. I had a diarrhea
I got this
again.
I got this walkie-talkie and just call a cart boy. He'll clean up the doo-doos that you leave all over the toilet seat in the bathroom.
I'm imagining them as like the GIMP, basically.
I mean, I felt I have had jobs where I have felt like extraordinarily
like you're the Hunchback of Notre Dame,
underappreciated.
You're wearing rags
and like yes
people are just like heaping slop on you.
Dude, when I was a bagger at Kroger, it was like not even just like you would go in the break room and the cashiers and like the people that work in like the deli and stuff would be sitting there like these baggers don't know shit about what they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like they just talking shit
Right.
about you. You're not allowed to like. There's no smoke
Just
breaks
be
when you're a
thankful.
bagger, but there are smoke breaks when you're everything else. There's none of.
If you get caught taking a tip in the parking lot, you're fucking fired.
I know, and that's a job. They give that job to like 14 and 15-year-olds because like they feel like there are so many adults that just feel so comfortable ordering around.
They're like ready. They're like, oh, you don't even know.
Yeah.
This seems like hell what I'm doing to you here at this Kroger, but you haven't even gotten to your career yet.
Truth is, it is more hell than your career. You just can't like leave your career.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like that's the.
You have to make amends.
I think like bad teen employees. I don't like that teens have to have job, or I don't like making a teen get a job, but I think that bad teen employees are the perfect payback to management who are assholes, you know?
Sure.
I just think like having a bunch of teens working there that don't need the job is wonderful for employee morale.
Yeah. All right, let's get these. We got 4 more to go. No more jump-ins. Do not call in. Thanks for the show so far. It's been wonderful. Let's see who's next here. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, this is Tom in Washington, D.C., and also Hannah.
Hey, Tom and Hannah, how are you?
Doing okay. I got fired for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Ooh.
Fired?
Good reason or bad reason? Like, was I know it's never good to get fired, but did you feel like it was your fault? Or was it like really unjustified? Because I've been fired both ways.
So here's so the deal is there's two things here. Allegedly, I worked at this cafe.
Are you gonna name names?
I'm gonna name names.
Yes. Ooh, naming names.
It's not slander, it's true. I worked at Tryst in Adams Morgan in Washington D.C. for the last year.
Oh,
which
man.
Is kind of a. Are you familiar with the place?
Yes, we stayed in Adams Morgan on the Hellfire tour, and it is not the type of place I would like to work.
Oh, I love Adams Morgan. I lived there for a while, and I mean, it's a great place. It's
Yeah, no, I mean, I genuinely it's a nice little cafe, but the management is hell.
Sure.
So I worked there for the last year, and about a month ago, they decided that they were going to be firing me, allegedly for my poor customer service. But I suspect that it's because I had started to talk about the fact that we have a right to paid sick time, / trying to set up meetings with my coworkers with a local workers center.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I don't want to say. I want to confirm your paranoia on that you may have something. You might have a little bit of something there.
First thing where I had a pretty much spotless record for almost the entire time that I was working there, and then about 3 months ago, I started talking to organizing people, and I started handing out flyers about how the paid sick time works and stuff, and then all of a sudden management starts treating me like I'm on very thin ice, which is suspicious.
Yeah, it's also that's the worst feeling. I do
know that. Yeah, that's just intimidating. That's just you know what you're doing around here. You know why we're putting the pressure on you right now.
I also feel like
right.
I also we know why they fired you, but the reason they gave you for firing you, I think that firing somebody I don't think there is a lot of extraordinarily bad customer service. I think that people that go in the service industry know what their job is, and they do it to the best of their ability, and most people are passable at customer service. We have a thing in our mind that we hate them and that they're the worst, but I don't believe that. I was also a service worker the whole entire time I did a real job, and I'm a fucking maniac asshole in real life. But I was so nice to customers, I didn't let them your job is to basically let people walk all over you, and you just people do it and they're fine. I just bad customer service is aside. I think in order to get fired for bad customer service, you should have to punch a customer in the face. Basically is how I feel.
And
or getting screaming matches.
On a daily basis, I had hundreds of perfectly regular, very friendly interactions. But the thing that they decided, the final straw that they decided to fire me for, was a 3-star Yelp review, in which these customers basically complained that, well, first of all, they made things up. The story that they told was literally not true. They said I didn't know the menu. They said I couldn't answer their questions. They said I vanished for 20 minutes and then came back and gave them the wrong thing, and those things are not true. My boss was not interested in hearing my side of the story at all. They basically just said well, this is obviously evidence that customers don't like you, so that's it.
Oh,
it's
God.
wild that he worked there for over a year, and then they fired him for a so-called pattern of poor customer service, which consisted of 2 incidences, which perfectly aligned with the timeline of when he started doing organizing work. So it's just all very suspicious.
It's enough,
And it's one of those.
It's they have every they don't. It's not a matter of being vindictive about it. They have enough to be square with the government, to be square with the courts, to fire you, and not even though why it's happening.
I mean,
they are also like you said. They weren't even being sly about it. They sat you down and or they started treating you like you were in trouble and were expecting you to know why,
And what the reason I brought up how customer service is one of those, like, bad customer service is like a fake thing is like that is maybe the worst reason to fire somebody. I guess if they can't get you on attendance, they have to go with bad customer
That's great.
service.
It's subjective. It's like there's nothing about it that can be like really. You can't. You know, it's just a matter of feeling. You know, for them, they can. It's a feeling that they can legitimately get rid of you for. It's just like, you know, I mean, people aren't vibing with you. You know how it is, dog. Like, maybe you should just hit up the next place. We're gonna set you free. You're a bird now. You can fly. Like, we're doing you a favor.
Yeah, no, I mean, my boss literally did tell me. She's like, well, maybe customer service just isn't for you. I'm
Right.
like, you're literally basing this off of like 3 people who, you know, had a bad day or something. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
like-
If you
the
don't.
wild thing is after this first event, they said they were putting him on a 6-month probationary period. So basically, if anyone else complained
Yeah.
about him, in the next half of a year, he would get fired, which is so utterly insane.
And they were basically like, oh, well, you know, your job is to make the customer happy. So if they're not happy, you're not doing your job.
It's classic small business tyrant. I mean, they have every dysfunctional fucking game that they can, any game that they want to run you through, any meat grinder they can come up with is protected because it's like, well, you agreed to work under these conditions. They have a 6-month probationary period, you know, like that's just how it works. You got to be on the razor's edge for 6 fucking months.
I mean, but I think the thing that
to
really,
make like, you know, a fucking pittance.
I think a thing that really makes me mad about this in the end is that like it is like a really subjective metric to grade people on, and what infuriates me about it is that, like, look, I worked in service for a long time. Some customers are like really vindictive, and some customers are just mean, and some people write mean Yelp reviews as like their gimmick. You know, there's like people on Yelp who have like a gimmick where they write like really detailed bad reviews, and like maybe you. I mean, even if I was to take that Yelp review at its word, it's like that happened one time. You know, that like there is like, I think for me, if you are like an employer that's paying people, you need to, like, if it were me, I would have thought it's too on the nose to fire you, and it probably would have done more coaching and like tried to get you to quit. But it sounds like they probably were trying to get you to quit for 6 months.
They were.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
They actually, when they like had the final straw incident or whatever, they sat me down and said, okay, we're suspending you from the schedule, and if you want, you can take the high road and put in your 2 weeks. You know, and they basically spent that next week saying like, hey, so if you want, you can put in your 2 weeks.
Right.
And you know, I decided like no, like if you want to get rid of me, you're gonna have to fire me. You know,
Right.
because this is bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Make me leave. I'm ready to come here and do my job.
Right.
Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. That was a truly horrific story.
And fuck you, Trist in Adams Morgan.
Makes their employees work sick. If anybody lives in DC, just so you know, people have had like actual stomach flu and been forced to stay on the floor.
I believe it.
Throwing that out there.
Yep. It sounds unsafe to me.
Adams Morgan, it's a hip part. There's a lot of great stuff. It is really walkable and beautiful. There's so many amazing like vintage stores and record shops and restaurants and all of that. But, you know, as we've shown, that is where people step in and are like, no, we're doing something cool and organic, and we're doing something, you know, that's like breaks the mainstream. So you have to put up with all of our fucked up shit, you know?
Yeah, we treat the animals better than the employees.
Right. Absolutely.
We treat the animals and the plants better than we treat anybody that works here.
Absolutely. Let's get our next one. We got a few to go. I think we're going to come in. I don't want to do overtime tonight, but we might. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? A skeleton.
I mean, we needed a skeleton.
A ghoul.
It's Halloween. It was very creepy.
Ooh, a specter.
Maybe your phone's on mute.
Some sort of specter.
Maybe your phone's on mute.
I mean, I haven't changed a goddamn thing since the last call that came in.
We have 13 minutes left.
Oh, the other person dropped out too. These people are dropping like flies. Folks, grab your loved ones, give them a kiss tonight, because all we got is this moment. Someone could just be vaporized out of nowhere.
It's true. It happened to Al Baghdadi this weekend.
all
rest his
the
soul.
flesh and blood stripped from their bones, and they end up being just a pile of calcium in a coffin. We've got one more to go. Our last caller, they have to have something
And
truly,
then we get to go home.
a truly horrific tale for the Halloween season. Thank you for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Hello?
Hey,
Howdy.
last
You
caller.
made it.
Hey.
You're the
Cool.
You're the
Cool.
survivor. You're the final gal.
Woo, that was fun standing.
Jason's gonna get you.
Sorry. I guess calling from San Antonio. My name's Justin. Sadly, I missed your show. In Austin 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, we were in Austin last. I don't remember anymore. We're on such a crazy schedule right now.
October 14th.
Okay, that's when we were in Austin.
Yeah.
Well, let me let me actually apologize to you for us not going to San Antonio. How's that? Like, it gets swaged some of that feeling.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you still missed the show.
Thank you.
But let me
Yes,
apologize.
It's sad. It's sad. Everybody loves Austin because it's so much cooler and more hip, and San Antonio is basically the military occupied city.
Isn't it like sort of like a mall? Is the downtown like there's like a river walk that's sort of like a mall too? Not that that's. I mean, every city has
but
that.
it's all touristy.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Every city,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's all
saying
just
like
like
it's
garbage.
uniquely bad. I have heard stories from people that are like, yeah, you don't need to go to San Antonio. It's mostly a mall. And it's like, well, I mean, people say that about every city we go to.
Yeah,
so-
since people say that about Cincinnati.
I know. People say it everywhere. They're like, you're going to the wrong place. When we did Detroit, people were like, I don't know why you're doing Detroit when you could do Lansing. And I'm like, well, I mean, Detroit's an iconic city.
Oh yeah. Well, I miss Michigan. Michigan. I was born in Flint, so.
Oh, and then you're stuck in Texas, which is a place that
Yep.
I don't love.
It's hell. It's well, I mean, when it's 110 degrees every day for like 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this:
no winter though.
No winter, and secondly, like, at least it's not humid. You know, like you have to like.
Oh, it gets pretty humid.
Okay, well then
It's not
sucks.
El Paso. El Paso is nice.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I liked New Mexico quite a bit, so I there is a part of that that part of the country that I like. Texas is a wild place with a bunch of wild people.
Yeah, lots of goofballs.
So what's up tonight,
Oh, it's
Justin?
definitely. Not much. Just I guess chilling from a long week. One, dealing with family, and two, just work in general. So,
Is work what's going on? Is it like just like is it uniquely
Oh.
bad, or is it just grinding you down to a nub?
Well, I mean, it's organizing in San Antonio, so I mean.
So you do organize. It's got to be hard in Texas, right? Like organizing a workplace in Texas sounds like a unique challenge that isn't the same as in maybe some of the like other cities, like some of the other states that have more liberal laws.
Well, part of it's just that, like, you know, nobody has any time, and the people who do, aren't like, I'm gonna go out and, you know, do canvassing unless you pay me.
I mean, I mean, I feel them though. I mean, that is kind of a like a lot of people do really. I mean, like especially in places that you're trying to organize, like they probably do work more than 40 hours a week, and like canvassing after that is like. I mean, I just would think it's like the last thing you would want to do. We're getting a lot of canvassers.
They make $1 bajillion too running for office, like the presidential stuff.
Yeah, they could pay people.
Well,
I don't think they're allowed. But we're talking about a union. They're not. They don't have the same kind of money. I mean,
not $1 bajillion.
A presidential campaign, I think, should pay their canvassers. I don't think it should be a volunteer job. But a union, you know, unfortunately, that has to be volunteer.
Well, I mean, we just need a complete, like, overhaul of, like, I mean, because the entire political system is just a mess.
Yeah,
Really.
I agree.
You know,
I hate it. It's very scary.
All of the, like, all of the like populist canvassing organizations and stuff, it's because everybody has to make money from essentially the market in order to, you know, create canvassing jobs or polling jobs or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
you have
for
to,
sure.
you know, make that green.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
We're
No problem. Thank
We're
you.
off work. Thank you, Justin. We love you.
We got one more if you want to take it.
You just said we were done.
There was a jump in. Okay, we're done. Sorry.
No jumping.
No jump in. Sorry, jump in.
We got a few minutes. We can kind of be crap. We got 7 minutes left. Like, technically. Hey, the Washington Nationals, like, really, really cool World Series. They had a World Series game tonight. And Trump went to the game. And there's video of him. They put him on the big screen. And the crowd chanted, "Lock him up," and booed him. And you can watch his face
get hurt.
You see his feelings.
See the
get
pain.
hurt. It is beautiful seeing his feelings get hurt.
I like that.
It's wonderful, yeah.
Let's take this jump in.
All right.
They've called before.
Okay.
I trust them.
All right.
They have a limited amount of time. You better be good.
Okay.
Something truly horrific or spooky, blood curdling, something that makes me want, that will keep me up all night. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Hey, 1 second. I'm getting gas.
Getting gas. Can you start a fire with? Cause aren't you not supposed to use your cell phone
No,
when you get
can't
gas?
start a fire without a spark.
That's true.
Sorry. I am so sorry. I'm like in an awkward position right now. I'm driving. Spooky story. Okay. This is Jason from Portland, Oregon.
Howdy.
I was recently at a potluck for a man named who went by Arminio Lewis. He was like an activist and organizer with the Anti-Fascist Coalition here.
Okay.
And he was unfortunately murdered. Like I think it was 2 weeks ago now.
Okay.
And right now there is this kind of disturbing, growing sentiment among, I mean, I'm sure many people are aware of like the Proud Boy, the group of Proud Boys here in Portland, and also this actually even more terrifying group, the Patriot Prayer Group, located in Washington, who are
major assholes.
Starting to, yeah, I mean, they're starting to say things like there's going to be more reenactments of this, threatening people online and things like that. And while I was at the potluck, it's sort of this unfortunate, not even unfortunate, it's a terrifying picture. You know, I'm not from here. I'm totally an outsider, and I can see that sort of this group of people, this Anti-Fascist Coalition, they're just a group of people who are pointing out that there are people out there threatening to kill people because they speak up against fascism.
Right.
Like, and they're not even part. What's so terrifying to me is that they're not even part of the power structure. You know, these people who take to online to threaten people and actually come out and do things like take videos and pictures, and they're actually somewhat organized with like walkie-talkies. It's like sort of a scary thing that is real and manifesting before our eyes. And I guess I just wanted to talk about it because, you know, when I was going to school, a lot of my friends, especially friends who are into metal and that kind of stuff, they always made fun of sort of Antifa punks, but like this shit's real. Like this shit's real, and I'm really glad that that this sort of coalition of people exists, because it is revealing sort of the horrible ugliness that exists in our culture and society.
No, you know, this is brilliant. You're absolutely right. It is an awful reminder of the world that we're in. Like even with, you know, Joshua Brown, the
guy that got killed by the Dallas police for being like the witness for Amber Geiger. There is a lot of like out and open violence that happens against people that are advocating for, you know, all of us, that are advocating for a different world. And it just becomes like a regular part of the world and something that doesn't get investigated or made into like some sort of, you know, scandal.
And in some ways, I sort of see the media here, because, you know, Portland, there's that sort of pretty viral video of Andy Ngo getting hit with a milkshake. Like it sort of seems from the outside, it seems
like a circus
almost,
or like media
like
fanfare.
yeah. Or I hear people use the words like, you know, punk, horseplay, like it's people just being sort of violent or you know, dissenting because they're losers. When in reality, it sort of more seems like to me, as the more people I meet who are part of the coalition, the more it becomes apparent that it is actually just normal people. It is normal people who have an understanding that isolated and alone, there are some of us that are simply not safe and are being targeted, potentially.
Absolutely.
And I think that's it's honestly the spookiest, scariest thing that has happened to me this Halloween is sort of learning about the death of this person who is of the same age and demographic as myself. And the only thing different he seems to have done is truly and actively spoken up against injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really terrifying.
Yeah, it seems to be happening a lot more often too. That like activists are getting. I mean, the Texas thing and Dallas,
St. Louis. I mean,
and
all
St.
the
Louis,
Ferguson
yeah.
at this point, like nobody is going to address it. No one wants to address what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Like that's so swept under the rug at this point. You know, people are doing it as like a joke.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of outright like covering up and elimination of people that is happening with us. You know, that's happening all the time.
Yeah, they are like people are being killed, locked up. Chelsea Manning is back in solitary confinement again. You know
what?
I
did not even hear about that.
I'm
That's
fairly
horrible.
certain that she's been locked up for a while.
Yeah.
I have to look it up again. I can't find it. I stink at this. But yeah, she's locked up and in solitary again because
that's
of what
not good.
happened.
That's so awful.
Yeah.
I every day, I like listen to your guys' radio show, and it sort of like gives me hope that there's a lot of other people out there listening that are all sort of, you know, banding together. And I think what's really great is that it always sort of seems like the number of people who sort of show up to these anti-fascist coalition protests and events, it always seems to be greater than the people who come by, who just harass them.
Every time, yeah. Like when we went down to Pike.
There's always going to be more people.
Yeah, when we went to Pikeville, there was enough people from the town of Pikeville that like there really was no reason for anybody else to show up. Like Pikeville was already staunchly against the Nazis, you know. Like it just gets embarrassing. You know, how much they're outnumbered. But, you know, they just have the protection of the status quo, and their violence is something that's sanctified in our culture and under the United States government.
Yeah, I mean, the police like them. There's a lot of
Yeah.
police on their side, so that's how it is. Well, thank you for calling in. It is terrifying to think of
Yeah, you did it. You killed-
fascists. And
Right on. I love this spooky
and
shit.
you brought us in for a landing. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry to be the skeleton. I had called and my phone totally disconnected me.
Well, then you weren't a jump
I'm
in,
glad you-
and now we're good.
You're a reanimated corpse, and we
All
love
right.
you for that. And
We
I
will
hope
not
to
call
see
you
you
a jump in.
You go ahead and message me. I'll get you tickets to the show in Portland if you're going to be there.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'll send you guys an email.
Yeah, just let me know.
I'll hook you guys up with some sweet shit as well. All right.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Thank
we love,
you.
We love any sweet shit.
Yeah, by the way, if you're in on the West Coast and you're where any of the tour dates are happening, I like pills. Like, I like all the kinds of pills. So, you know, I'm not saying bring them for me. I'm saying, like, if
You will buy
brought
them
for
even
me, I
if you're
would
a
like them.
if
Yeah.
you're a dealer too. Like
Yeah.
you like gifts, but you would also purchase them. So I promised I would tell it. I'm gonna do a little overtime, but I wanted to tell a fucking awful, horrific parent story.
Okay.
There was a time me and Erica were dating at this time. She had moved to Dallas, and we were away from each other. And something about my life was like getting back on track. And so I went to go with my parents to an Oktoberfest. And we go there and hanging out. And I had never really drank with them in any sort of capacity. And we start drinking, and the conversation gets really contentious. And they start talking about shit like socialism. They start talking about shit like, you know, just everything, wild shit. And we start fighting. Like, I'm just being like quippy, and like I'm just being an asshole, you know?
Yeah, I
like,
remember this now.
Yeah. I'm just doing everything I can to like my dad is like, you know, fucking Barack Obama is going to make the goddamn country socialist. And I was like, well, I hope we can do it faster. You know, I was like, it's just taking too long to get there, you know? And then we're talking about my upbringing, and I mentioned how, like, when I was at the school in the city, that the teachers really cared, and they were, like, so dedicated, but in the suburbs, they just felt like babysitters. And we're fighting back and forth, like, once again, drinking the whole time. Like, this is such a bad idea. And it gets to the point where my dad calls me an N-word lover. And, like, that was the final straw, where I was just like, fuck you and you to their face. And it was like, I don't need you in my life. And I never did. I'm doing fine by myself. And I stormed out of there. But they had driven me there. They came and picked me up. So I was stuck at the fairgrounds. And I had to walk all the way home. And I bought, like, a Black and Mild on the way to, like, just calm my nerves and shit. But as I'm getting there, like, this is a 2 or 3 mile...
It's probably 5 mile walk.
It is. I mean, you know better. It's like from the fairgrounds to Grandview, up to North Star.
Yeah, I mean, I have.
It's 5 miles?
I think it's.
It was
5
all
or
night
6.
long. It was in the middle of the fucking night.
I
It was
remember
dark.
because you came to my house.
And so, as I'm getting close to our home, I get this feeling like I got to use the restroom. And I start, like, picking my step up. I just start, like, walking a little bit faster. And as I round the corner, I go into a full-blown run to get to the house because I feel like this doo-doo's about to jump out. And as I'm running, this is the biggest mistake. This is something you learn when you're, you know, this is something you do when you're 20 years old and you learn this lesson. But you don't run because you release all of your bowels all over yourself. Like, I shit all over myself so spectacularly. And it was the weirdest night of my life to just, like, fight with my parents, tell them I would never talk to them again, but then also poop all over myself.
Yeah,
like I have to go take a shower and clean shit all over myself like I'm a baby again. Like, I've been thrown back into some sort of weird, like, Carl Jung, you know, father-son relationship all over again. Like, my dad scolded me and I pooped my pants. Right?
Yeah.
It was wild. It was like, but I didn't talk to him forever until I had a kid. And then it was like, pretty much I earned their respect. By telling them they were awful, like, I earned their respect. And they're still awful, and they're in the same situation that, me and my dad's relationship is similar to you and your father-in-law in that, like, I know he's not going to agree with me, but we do not fight. Like, there's no fighting at all. Like, it's a really great thing now.
Yeah.
You know, it pretty much, once I told them off, they were like, okay, we won't say anything that'll make you mad because you will actually disappear on us and, like, move to another fucking state.
Yeah.
Like, I will literally disappear on your ass and I'll fake my own fucking death if I have to.
Yeah. The last argument I think I had with my dad was, like, when we got home from New York, somebody gave me this, like, insanely potent edible that was, like, I ate 50 milligrams of weed before we went to Easter.
Uh-huh.
And I'd driven all night because I left New York at, like, 9 o'clock at night, and I drove all night and got home and then woke up and I went to go to Easter. And all I remember was, like, I'm really high and I'm having an argument with my dad about communism. on
Yeah.
And then I fucking left and was like, I had to go like lay in bed and hide. Gwen still brings up how stoned I was that Easter because
Really?
I was,
She was like,
out of
she
my
was
fucking
astonished.
mind,
Yeah.
just yelling about communism. I don't even fucking do that. Like that's not even like in
Yeah.
my. It's in my character on the podcast. Obviously, I come on a podcast, I yell about communism and stuff. But like, I don't do that when we're all just
Like,
hanging
not
out.
at Easter.
Yeah, like that's not the type of
Like,
dude I am.
Jesus was actually a communist when you think
Yeah.
about
Oh
it.
no, it was just
He
shit
wanted
like,
bread and fish for everyone.
It was just shit like, I know you think communism's been tried, but it hasn't been tried. You're ignorant of the past. You're
Yeah, you
ignorant
unloaded.
of how things work. And capitalism, I'm like telling my dad, like, whenever capitalism
all out.
sees people working together, it fucking stomps it out. And like the whole world aligns against communism when anybody tries. And my dad is just kind of sitting there. My dad's like this really emotionless guy. And he's just kind of sitting there like, yeah, I'm just like not a communist. It's
Right.
That was his whole
Pretty
thing.
much, yeah.
But I was just yelling at him
Yeah.
for like an hour. So that was like the last time I fought with my
Yes,
parents.
that's wonderful. Well, thank you for listening to Street Fight. If you want to support what we do, you can do that on Patreon. You can also just subscribe and listen each week. We love what we do, and we're grateful to everybody that tunes in. And, if we win, everybody wins. We hope that eventually we can spread this mess across the U.S. into every corner of the flat earth so that there will be a global uprising of party people that are ready to take all the money from the folks that got it and live on a much leaner lifestyle. Like, we got to cut it out with the production. Production needs to be quartered. We got to spend a lot of less time making stuff and just making do. So if you're down with that and you're ready to make the Age of Aquarius happen, that's what we're here for. I'm Brett. He's Brian. We'll see you later this week. We're Street Fight. Also, Wednesday nights, Street Fight in Columbus, Ohio. We're going to AEW watch party. AEW and NXT. Come to the Elevator Tap Room. It's on 4th. We have all kinds of cool folks from the DSA hanging out. There's regular people. We've got like a dozen people at this point. So, folks, I got ahead of myself. We got like a dozen people that are showing up. It's going to get bigger and better. It's a really fun time to hang around with everybody and, let off some steam and watch wrestling. So Elevator Tap Room on 4th. Street Fight will be there every Wednesday that we aren't on the road. We'll see you on Wednesday. Like, we're going to do a later show. Probably be around midnight is going to be the new live stream. I want to try to I want to do this sound file right. Let me hit this. Oh, damn it. I love it when you sign out of the show. It says that is the end. Goodbye. It says like that real 1970s robotic voice. Peace, y'all.
And that's the end of our show. Donk.